halfway there. Happy Wednesday, everybody. A little cooler. What a beautiful afternoon it is. We're happy to have you here with us. Heidi, Glaus, Bob Ramsey, Josh, Gilbert, and we've got a lot to get to. If you haven't joined us in the last couple of weeks, we started a new segment with a professor of linguistics at the University of Nevada, and she's also an author. And we're going to talk about how we have created these terms for men. Where did the word man even come from? But guy and dude, all of those, we're going to break that down with Valerie. Bro. Do you? I do too.
I dig it, brah.
I dig it, bruh.
That's coming up at 3:30. At about 3:50, we'll check in with Ben Siegel, ABC News. Texas is set to vote on redistricting. And what does that mean for the rest of us? We'll get a take on that. In the 4 o'clock, Lauren Risley will join us. And I just got a press release sent to my email. And it was about St. Louis being one of the easiest places to sell a home. So we'll have Lauren Risley weigh in on that. We'll also do a brief sports segment with KTRS Sports Director Brendan Weesey because Mizzou has named a starting quarterback? Question mark?
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll check in with Alex Stone. What if you paid extra for a window seat and then you got on the plane and there was no window? Well, there's a new lawsuit, and we'll find out if you can get in on that.
And here's my question. When you get a window seat, do you want it because there's a window, or do you like it because you're tucked inside and you can lean your head up and
I
maybe
personally
sleep?
like it for both reasons. I want to be in control of the window. Like, I hate when I'm in that middle seat and the person beside me has kept the window shut and we're landing, and I really want to see everything. You know, I want to see the golf courses and the pools and the mountain range.
I'm an aisle guy. And so that eliminates all this the question about the window stuff. But what I don't get, and I'd like somebody to let us know on the text line, why do you get a window seat and then close the window?
Oh, well, my wife does that. That's why I brought it up. What's her problem?
You can tell her I said this. What's her problem?
Yeah, I don't get it either.
Sit on the aisle. Sit in the middle. What are you doing?
It must be just to lean.
It's for the leaning purposes, at least in our situation. And right after takeoff, right after, everything's done and everyone's getting settled, whoosh, she shuts it.
The only time I think it should really be shut is if they say we're trying to cool the plane down. Please shut your window blind. Okay. The rest of the time, keep it open.
We're going to, she'll get a summons.
Okay.
And there'll be heavy fines associated with that.
I will summons her for you.
Okay. I want to know how you guys feel on the Woods Basement Systems text line, 84126. Do you shut the window? Do you keep it open if you're flying? So we'll talk about that with Alex Stone as well. We'll also talk to the author of America's Reluctant Prince, The Life of JFK Jr. And this guy isn't just somebody that studied the life of JFK Jr. They were actually friends. So we'll talk to him coming up in the 5 o'clock. We got some other entertainment news. And then we'll wrap this show up with some randoms. I was watching the Today Show this morning, and I didn't realize this. Cassette tapes are making a resurgence. And apparently they have been now for the last couple of years. Now, a little bit of it, you might say, is nostalgia.
I'd say a lot of it.
The most, I guess, the most popular group now buying cassettes are the people who weren't even born when we were listening to cassettes. So I think that's interesting. In 2023, just under 500,000 cassettes were sold in the United States. Now, that's nothing compared to the 440 million cassettes sold back in the 80s, but that was really the only way to listen to music. I mean, it had taken over vinyl, and it was easy to carry. You could listen to it in your car. It was smaller than the 8-track, but it's definitely been an increase from, like, say, 2015, when only 80,000 cassettes were sold. So, what was the first cassette you owned? I'm not talking 8-tracks. I'm not talking vinyl. I'm not talking CDs. I'm talking cassette. And almost certain mine was Like a Virgin, Madonna. I almost positive. And I still have my hard case of cassettes down in the basement. Now, I don't know that I have anywhere to play them.
Well, that was my question for the nearly 500,000 cassettes that were sold. Where are they being played? And someone in this article, because I printed out the same thing, Heidi, we're on the same wavelength here. Fans are looking for a deeper connection to artists and their work.
Yeah.
With a cassette tape, it's not easy to skip around between songs. You have to listen to the whole album all the way through. Well, I can do that with a CD. I can do that on my phone.
Yeah, but you don't.
I personally do.
I know you do. Most people, I should say.
Heidi, it seems like you are suggesting cassettes are the best way to listen to music.
No. I don't think they're the best because I think the tape comes out and then you got to get your pencil out and rewind it and do all. I mean, I'm still here for the vinyl. And as a matter of fact, last week, my niece and one of her friends came over and we were sitting in we call it the front room because it's towards the front of the house. And I played Aretha Franklin's greatest hits on vinyl for them. And they both were like, oh, this is kind of cool. And I'm like,
kind of.
Yeah, it sounds cool.
Well, I don't
the
know
pops.
what you two old people are thinking of. Digital is the best sounding music, period.
Best sounding, true. That is.
So I don't know what's wrong with you old timers. You got to let go and move into the next generation.
Yeah, but you can't hold it. You can't look at the liner notes. You can't read the labels.
That's where vinyl wins.
Yeah.
I think it's one or the other. 8 tracks and cassettes, I just think, are too weak in all the categories we want to make up to try and compare and contrast.
Yeah.
But I really do miss the album covers,
the artwork,
the inserts, the artwork, the liner notes. I really, truly miss that.
And even the lyrics.
Yeah, all the stuff they can put on there. Yep.
There's a category at the Grammys for best packaging.
Yeah.
And that's everything that Bob just mentioned.
Album
there.
art, though, just got added, which is crazy.
Straight out. I think album art was part of the packaging and all that stuff. I, born in 1981, 44 years old today, and I think my generation... As of today.
Oh, as of today. Because
today's not your birthday. I was going to say, we already played all the birthday songs on August 12th.
As of last Tuesday.
44 Candles. Happy birthday.
We were the tape generation. My first album was bought on cassette tape.
Right.
Because we weren't really buying records and we didn't have enough money for CDs and CD players. I got Cooley High Harmony by Boyz II Men.
Okay.
And I got Metallica's Black Album.
Boyz II Men and Metallica. Look at you, Mr.
I was
Eclectic.
going to say,
right?
talk about the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Run the gamut. But as soon as CDs became affordable and CD players were the regular, never looked back.
Yeah,
and I never will.
Now, here's the thing. I grew up with vinyl, and even all through college in the 70s, the tapes were for your car.
Yes.
And that was it. I didn't play them at home. Now, I would stack the vinyl. Remember that? We've talked about this, where you could stack, depending on your record player, 4 or 5 or 6 on top, and you were programming your own radio station.
And let it fall.
And it would go to the next one. But the various tape options were for your car.
Yeah.
And that was really it for me.
Were there fancy record players that would pick the record up and flip it over and put it back down?
Yes.
I mean, that sounds like a chore.
Well, think about a jukebox.
Pretty big robot.
A jukebox did that.
Well, people don't have jukeboxes in their bedrooms.
Well, some of you don't.
No, but I mean, you're talking about the same kind of engineering. It has to pick up the album and drop it down.
Yeah. But you're supposed to hold the records around the edges. You don't want to touch the grooves or anything. How did it pick it up and then flip it over and then?
It was like a little arm.
Was it? And it'd have to have enough clearance to, because these things. How wide is an LP? Does anybody know? It should be
12 inches.
Standard,
I think
right?
Yeah, 12. I was going to say 12 too.
Gotta have enough clearance to flip the thing over.
It's such a minor thing to worry about because nobody I know did that.
I was going to say, I don't think I ever worried about the way I held it.
I
really?
realized that after a while, as I got a little older and into college, only on the edges, and I had the cleaner.
Yes, the cleaner.
That like velvet brush thing. And so I tried to do that. Of those four we've talked about, vinyl, 8-track, cassette, and CDs, 8-track's the worst.
Yeah.
By far. With cassettes, at least you did get a version of liner notes and album art, little tiny and small, but you got a version of it. So 8-tracks were terrible.
I had
them
in my 92 Celica. I had both a cassette player and a CD player. And, we just sold our truck, 2004 Toyota Tundra, to my nephew. And it had cassette and a CD player in it, which was kind of cool.
I think the first CD player was a mid-90s Honda I had. I think.
Yeah.
Now I can't remember.
How about this? I did not have a cassette player in my car, so I travel with a battery-operated one that I would slide underneath my seat. I thought I was pretty cool. I'm going to say you are. Vinyl and CD are best streaming is compressed, and you miss some of the music. My 2004 Ford Explorer still has a cassette player, and I love it. Iron Butterfly, my first.
First tape?
Yeah.
Probably Inagata Davida.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's what it says. You absolutely got it right. Van Halen was mine. I was spoiled and had an Alpine cassette radio. Alpine.
There's
Man,
a brand.
That's a good drop on that one because I always wished I could have Alpine but could never afford it.
Once I got a Marantz tuner, I thought I was the hot dog. I was.
Yeah.
Listening to my dad and his friends talk about the Marantz, they would melt. The Marantz. Oh my! And did you have this? Oh my God! It's like wow.
and DLK speakers with the walnut. Oh man, it was a big deal.
Well, you got to have the subwoofer to be able to have
I wasn't
some
quite
of that.
There. I wasn't quite there with the subwoofer.
Our friend Susan says, I have an old AM/FM radio that has a cassette player. I use it often for those older songs.
Nice.
Yeah, that's great too. And then going back to our window seat discussion, somebody said, I choose the window seat because I'm a photographer and I want the window open so I can see all the cool stuff.
Yay.
I want the window seat so I can lean on the window while I sleep. And I want the window seat because I just like having the light come in on the airplane. That's our friend Italy Kim.
She travels quite a bit. So
she does. Yeah. Jukeboxes played the 45s, which are, of course, a lot smaller than the
easier to
LPs.
flip.
Yeah.
That's right.
I have a whole little stack of LPs at the house that I'll play occasionally. Got a little.
I've got a couple of hundred, but they're all boxed away.
You did.
And I still have some 45s from the 60s.
Yeah,
Bob, if
I
your
got
kids
both.
don't want them, if your kids don't want them, I get first crack.
Make me an offer.
All right.
Somebody said I still have several Marantz. Sounds like butter.
Like butter.
Butter.
Nice.
Yeah. So I thought that was interesting. And
Did this ever take off the reel to reel? Is that ever a thing for consumers?
Yeah, for audiophile people.
Yeah.
I got it because of recording games.
yeah,
When I was in college, everything we did at the radio station, KCLC, the Star Maker, was on reel to reel. So I still have boxes of those.
I learned how to splice tape on those as far as that goes. But here's the other thing.
Pardon my interruption, but I have one, a TIAC. It's still in the basement somewhere.
You don't get the record pops, which frankly people love those, but that's not what you're supposed to be hearing. And in the studio, that's how they listened to it while they were mixing it.
For music, you got to be pretty intense into it to play your music on reel to reel.
The other thing that was good about cassettes, if you're of a certain age, is you could listen to the top 40 and then record it on your own Memorex cassette player, which you couldn't really do with vinyl or 8-track unless so that was the first time you could, record your own version.
It's the mixtape.
I was just going to say
Yes.
mixtape.
Yes.
For someone that you're trying to impress, your significant other, whatever it might be, the mix. I made you a mixtape, Josh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, CDs and the Napster and all the digital stuff, that made it so easy to do all that stuff, too.
Now, see, I never did that.
Yeah.
That was over my head and couldn't, but I could sure hit record and play at the same time,
Yep.
and Casey Kasem and have the top 40 for the next couple of weeks. So I hope you'll hang out with us. We'll continue to go back in time and read some of these texts. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Bob and Josh on the Big 550 KTRS St. Louis.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Steeple Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids. To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126. The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Glaus Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer.
Do you know why right now is the absolute best time to book your new patio or deck with my friends at Outdoor Living? Aside from being the best in town, these guys are really smart. They pay attention to market conditions, and they've stocked up on patio and deck supplies, including steel, all before these tariffs kicked in. So while their competitors' pricing has gone through the roof, prices have never been better at Outdoor Living. Now is the best time to call and book your summer job. Not to mention, these same competitors have sold out to large conglomerates and hedge funds. Pat Leahy and his team remain locally owned and operated, providing the best pricing and the best service in town. So, looking for a new deck or a new fence or anything outdoor? Outdoor Living, 314-966-DECK. That's 314-966-DECK. Or check them out online, Outdoor Living Inc., or check out their great showroom, Big Bend and I-44 in Kirkwood, OutdoorLivingInc.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text LEGAL66 to 323232. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
My friends at Neighbors Credit Union are rolling out a new account. The new Debit All Day account is designed for the way you pay today. Debit All Day is a checklist checking account featuring a Neighbors Visa debit card, the convenience of online and mobile banking, and access to your direct deposits up to 2 days early. If you're looking for a no-fuss account to make managing your money simple, safe from overdrafts, and free of fees, Debit All Day is for you. Open your Neighbors Credit Union Debit All Day account online today at neighborscu.org.
A legendary weekend is coming to the Lou. Don't miss the Stiefel Charity Classic presented by Compliance Solutions, September 4th through 7th at Norwood Hills Country Club. Watch PGA Tour champions compete and enjoy a live performance by music sensation OAR at Friday's community concert presented by CarShield. Tickets start at just $20. Kids, military, veterans, and first responders get in free. Get your tickets today at StiefelCharityClassic.com.
4 green seats and parking for the August 25th Cardinals game against Pittsburgh. Want to throw the first pitch at the Cards game September 16th against the Cincinnati Reds? Do we have your attention now? How about a trip behind the scenes with Frank Cusimano at KSDK News Channel 5? Brunch with Heidi Glaus, Jennifer Blome, and Kelly Jackson. Billikens tickets, dinner with Carney. Not sure who would really want that, but we're going to do it anyway. 1 year's worth of Dogtown Pizza, and so much more. Tomorrow is the 15th annual St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer Radiothon. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., KTRS Cares has great auction items to bid on. Tune in all day tomorrow to find out how to bid on these great auction items. Just listen for the keyword to text in your bid to 84126. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
It is 3:30. We got to get a check of traffic from Captain Paul. You guys, I got on the scale today. The number continues to go in the right direction, and I couldn't do it by myself. I tried over and over for 5 years, and I thought I was doing everything right, and I was. I just have gotten older. And so I turned to Premier U, and they understood. They have worked with so many people like me, and they've seen success with so many people just like me. Now, you've heard of Ozempic and Mounjaro, the new weight loss medications. Well, what Premier U does is offer those in their generic form, so it is much, much cheaper. But it isn't just that. It is all the other tools that they help you with, because they really want you to be healthy, not just lose weight. So once a month you check in and you get on that scale, but it's not the scale that you have at home. It's a scale that will kind of tell you what your visceral fat is. That's the fat around your organs, and really the most important fat that you want to get rid of. It'll tell you where your muscle mass is, because you also don't want to lose weight and lose muscle. You want to lose the fat, keep the muscle, and that's what Premier U helps you do. So if you're ready to get back to feeling like you again, maybe even better, dare I say, call Premier U, 618-750-LIFE, 618-750-LIFE. Premier U has 2 locations. There's one in Swansea, Illinois. There's one in South County. You can also reach them online at premiermed.com.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We have some nice weather, warm still, but slightly below normal days are ahead of us. We start off Thursday morning at 67 degrees, a high of 84 with partly cloudy skies and dry weather for the afternoon, slightly less humid for Thursday too. And then Friday, partly cloudy and a high of 86. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
This should probably last us for the rest of the show.
Yeah, it could, but
we got a guest.
John Eaton said basically in Gata Davida, it was supposed to be in the Garden of Eden. The lead singer was wasted when he recorded it. It sounded good for the time, and they went with it.
That's hilarious.
That is hilarious.
That's really
and
funny.
Probably not the only story like that when it comes to some of our favorite songs. But it's time to move on. Man, guy, dude, why do we use these words for men? Valerie Fridland is a professor of linguistics and author of Like Literally Dude, Arguing for the Good and Bad English, and she is back to discuss. Welcome back.
Thank you. And this is such a fun topic. I'm excited to chat about it today.
Far out, dude.
Valerie.
Man, am I excited.
Yeah. Let's start with that word you just said. What are the origins of man?
Well, man is sort of the classic. I think a lot of us think about it as the older way of talking about people. Man, how you doing versus dude or bro, which are the newer forms. But the word man is also quite ancient. It's sort of the most ancient of all these words for men we use, dating all the way back to Old English and probably a lot further back than that, because it seems to be related to other words very similar to man, like M-A-N-N in German. And a lot of other languages like Dutch and Swedish have similar words. Also, we find it in Sanskrit. It's manu, which has a similar meaning, which was sort of mankind. And that tells us, as linguists who like to sleuth back in history, that it probably was inherited from the language that all those languages got their words from, which is an ancient language called Indo-European, for which we have no physical evidence. So we don't find writing in that language. But we do hypothesize it existed based on the languages that descended from it.
So many of us grew up with the King James version of the Bible, and man is frequent in there. So did that have a huge influence on Western society, even though it is it's an interpretation from the old languages, right?
Right. Well, what's really interesting is man predates probably a lot of the usages in the Bible with the translation, because the word for man in Latin was actually vir or vir, depending on which way you want to pronounce it. It's spelled V-I-R, but in probably older forms of Latin, in Common Latin, that V would have been pronounced like a W, but in Church Latin, like a V. So however you want to say it, that's actually the word for man that was also used more commonly to refer to individual men in Old English. So the word were, like werewolf, W-E-R-E was how it was spelled in Old English. That actually meant man or sometimes husband in Old English. And that's where we get compounds like werewolf from. It was man-wolf. The word man itself in Old English, and probably as far back as Indo-European, really meant more male, the male generic of mankind. So it was more like a collective man. And so both of those influences probably affected how the Bible translation happened. Mm-hmm. But the older word was probably man itself, and it would have predated the Bible. The really interesting thing about where as a form for man in Old English is the female equivalent is also a word that sticks around, but also with a changed meaning. And I know we're talking about words for men, but hey, we women have to represent somewhere in there.
Thank you.
Sister.
I got you, Heidi. And that word is weef, which is now pronounced wife, which might sound familiar, but think about how you would say a female version of mankind. It would have been weefman. And can you see what that might have developed into over time?
Woman.
Right, exactly, woman. So weefman, which meant not wife in Old English as much as the female head of household, which by virtue of the fact of, how things went down back then, she would have been a wife. And that's probably how this wife meaning came to us. But it was a weefman, a female man, and that's how it evolved slowly into woman of today.
So fascinating. Amazing. All right, let's move on to guy. How did we get there?
Oh, well, that's a really funny one. And, I think most people don't mind being called guys today. In fact, a lot of girls get called guys today, and no one gets offended. But if you go back a couple of centuries, you probably wouldn't have wanted to be a guy. And that's because the original guy was Guy Fawkes. And do you know who he was? Anybody?
I do not.
Yeah, he was an insurrectionist, was he not?
Yes, he was one of the co-conspirators in the Gunpowder Rebellion, or the Gunpowder Plot, way back in 1605. And he happened to be the one with munitions expertise, which really sucked for him because he literally got caught holding the flame to light the gunpowder. And so he was kind of used as the example. He was hung, which probably wasn't a really happy experience for him. And the House of Lords were so excited that they didn't get blown up that they actually declared the day of the gunpowder plot, which was November 5th, to be a holiday, a celebration. And part of that celebration started to be the use of effigies of Guy Fawkes and his co-conspirators, which were burned on that day. And so they called them generically guys, meaning Guy Fawkes, but any of them were referred to as guys. And then about a century later, the word guy then became a little more generic, where it wasn't just about those bad effigies of bad people. It was about anybody who was kind of bad or often unattractive or unkempt or slovenly. And even girls could be guys back then. So one of the earliest citations for that kind of use comes from 1800 in a piece of literature where they're referring to a woman and calling her a guy in that unflattering sort of sense. Wow. But the revolution of guy, the evolution of guy to a good guy comes in the late 1800s, and mainly in the United States, where then guys were just any males, and that is where it stands today.
So over in England, do they use the word guys as a, colloquial, hey, you guys?
Generic?
Yeah, generic.
Not like we do in the U.S. I mean, a lot of Americanisms make their way over there, even though they, don't necessarily like it that happens. So you can hear guy there, but it's more of a name there than, or a guy, an effigy, although that's kind of an older use. And the guys that you would hear about being used there would be Americanism. So it's not as typical. So it's really a more American form to say guy.
So the term guy, we use it all the time, right? But it is a name. We have Guy Phillips that fills in here on the radio from time to time. We have Guy Fawkes. That's where it came from. What does the name Guy mean?
I think it's, back in sort of the olden times, I think it's just a name. I don't know any sort of etymological origin beyond that. Its meaning as man really came from its use for Guy Fawkes.
Gotcha.
I don't know much about name history, so I can't tell you the meaning. I'm sure someone could come up with something from one of those books you look at when you are naming your child, but I don't know that one. However, I do know that what's an interesting sort of spin-off of guy is the word Guido, which often we use generically as well, often in that derogatory sense. So it never lost that derogatory sense because guy has a spin-off in Italian, which is Guido. So the name for guy in Italian is Guido, and that then got associated still with that negative sense, which is why you don't really want to be a Guido, even if you don't mind being a guy.
That's correct.
We're talking to Valerie Fridland, who is a professor of linguistics. What about gentleman?
That was sort of more one of these politeness features. In the early modern period, politeness was all the rage, especially with the French influence that came in during the Middle English period. And so gentleman and gentlewoman were simply a way of saying, you kind people in a very polite sort of sense. Oh. One thing that's really interesting that with the evolution of terms for males or men terms is the fact that this idea of politeness that was very, very intense in about 1500 to about 1800 in, also American culture, but really, really in British culture, is sort of what prevented words like dude and bro and man as we use them today in what we call vocative senses, where it's sort of we're calling out people like, hey, I know you. I know you well enough to call you my bro. The politeness at that period really prohibited that kind of intimacy. So we didn't ever use familiarizers, as they're called by linguists. At that time, they would be more formal. So we call those vocatives when you're addressing someone directly, which is why when you see old period pieces, they say things like, oh, father, oh, mother, oh, sister, shall we come? But here we'd be like, yo, mama, come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, what about dude?
Oh, dude. Well, dude, of course, has a really long history, and it started as also a negative term. Are you seeing a trend here?
Yes.
Our words for men don't always start off well. And it was really about a sort of overly showy, pretentious man that dressed in a certain way, often in a very effeminate Oscar Wildean style in the late 1800s. And it was used in America sort of as a mainstream term to call out people. It was a very insulting term, but it got picked up in the 1900s to refer more to really showy dress style rather than an effeminate kind of ostentatious person. And in that evolution, that's where we get Dude Ranch from, of course, is where it's talking about people dressed up inappropriately, formally for where they are. It's in that sense of clothing being stylish that it gets picked up by more trendy, cool people like zoot suiters and pachuchos in the 1930s and 40s. And then it gets picked up by surfer dudes and sort of druggies as this kind of word for cool solidarity and kind of getting together. And that's where it really starts being this vocative. And the funny thing is the growth of words for men that become ways of just calling out people that can be used for anybody, including women. So like dude and man and bro, when we say, hey, bro, what you doing? The joke in linguistics is those are brocatives because they're vocatives.
I love it. I love it.
That's so good.
Do women have these? Is that a separate segment?
Well, we thought there's a lot we can do. We have to have a segment for women because, we girls, we need it. We need it. But
Gal.
we can say very quickly that those are terms used by women. So these brocatives actually get picked up by women as well. However, a few of them seem to keep their masculine sense to a point where women don't tend to use them, and man is one of those. So, when you say, hey, man, come over here, you don't tend to say that to women very often.
Yeah.
Great point.
Hey, dude, you would do that. And even, hey, bro, my daughter who's 17 bros me all the time. Which annoys me, but she doesn't seem to care, but she never mans me.
Well, it is so interesting, and we love picking your brain. Valerie Fridland, author of Like Literally Dude, Arguing for the Good in Bad English. We will chat with you in a couple weeks.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
You too.
So here's the deal. If you're driving around and you've got some dings and dents and you start to notice them now a little bit more because the sun is out and you're driving, wait a minute, hold on, I didn't see that before. Guess what? You need to get to Dents Express. They've got 2 locations on Manchester, in Baldwin, and in St. Charles. 2 locations, one great family. What they do is, well, they fix your car. Simple. Whether it's dent removal, hail damage, minor collision, you and I would call it major, but they call it minor. They'll work with your insurance company, handle all the paperwork, and then when it's ready, they'll come call you, and you can come pick up the car. Under normal times, they would ask, hey, come on in, no appointment needed. But because of such the high volume of cars that are using Dents Express, all they ask is to save yourself some aggravation, make an appointment, give them a call, and they will handle everything and get the car back on the road looking as good as new. Dents Express, a great St. Louis family for 30-plus years. Dents Express, STL.com.
I'm Farmer Dave, and here's my good friend and owner of MasterCars Inc., Alex Rosenberger, with today's hot MasterCars Inc. deals.
Thanks, Farmer Dave. Summer may be winding down, but that means the great weather is moving in. Time to get the convertibles, motorcycles, and sports cars out. We're selling them at a brisk pace. As a result, we need to buy even more of them. You have a very clean, classic, collectible, convertible, sports car, or even an everyday car you want to sell. How about an entire collection? We'll buy it all. And if we're buying them, of course we sell them too. Check out our site for some of the finest hand-picked vehicles for sale in the country. Ours are that good. Give us a look. It'll be worth your time.
So rev that motor and point your car in the direction of MasterCars Inc. and buy or sell today. 4100 Namioki Road in Granite City, or visit MasterCarsInc.com to get more details. That's MasterCarsInc.com.
It's time to celebrate summer the Southern Illinois way at the DeCoin State Fair from August 22nd through Labor Day. Enjoy thrilling rides, toe-tapping concerts, sizzling fair food, and good old-fashioned fun for the whole family. Catch professional wrestling, blue ribbon bake-offs, and meet your favorite farm animals. Whether you're here for the car show or corn dogs, DeCoin's got the magic. So pack up the family. Adventure awaits at the DeCoin State Fair.
Becoming a truck driver doesn't have to be complicated. At Schneider, we make it easy to get your commercial driver's license and start your new career. With our CDL apprenticeship training, you'll get paid to become a truck driver in just 5 to 6 weeks and have a Schneider driving job waiting for you when you've completed the program. Plus, during training, Schneider will provide transportation, lodging, and meals at no cost to you. Ready to get your career on the road? Learn more and apply today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
Everybody loves good barbecue, and everybody wants to know where the next great barbecue place is. And if you're looking for an overnight sensation, it's only taken them 10 years. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery, Woods Mill and Clayton Road. There is a gas station, West County Phillips 66 gas station. In that gas station, in the back, for 10 years, some of the best barbecue in town. Bring a friend and spread the word. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery. Don't forget about the bakery. 3 Bay Barbecue and Bakery. JewelsonBakery.com.
Got gold? Get green at Jewels on Hampton. Jewels on Hampton pays the most for your precious metals, jewelry, gems, currency, antiques, and collectibles. Jewels on Hampton buys precious and semi-precious gems and stones, scrap gold, and sterling silver. Jewels on Hampton buys and sells paper money, wristwatches, and pocket watches. They even take pianos and cars. To sum up, bring your gold chains, bracelets, rings, coins, dental gold, and more to Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton Avenue in St. Louis. And get green. Online at jewelsonhampton.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have two locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple of screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware. 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware. We'll see you there.
9 minutes before 4 o'clock. Captain Paul, how are the roads looking? After weeks of delays and protests from Democrats, the Texas State House is set to vote on that controversial redistricting plan. Ben Siegel, ABC News correspondent on Capitol Hill, joins us with the latest. Have they taken a vote yet?
They're on the precipice of doing this, and this comes after Democrats stalled for a week and change in an effort to kill this process. But now Republicans are closer than ever to passing this map through the State House. It would then go on to the Senate before going to Governor Greg Abbott's desk for his signature. And we also expect it'll face legal challenges. But big picture here, Republicans are moving closer to changing the maps in their state in the middle of the decade to benefit Republicans and Donald Trump potentially in the midterms. Ben,
is there anything the Democrats can do at this point?
The short answer is no, unless they can filibuster on the floor for the next year and a half. I mean, it's really out of options here. They were out of the state, and that was successful. The state law enforcement could not reach them, and while they were in Chicago and L.A. and New York, but they made the decision that they would not be able or willing to stay outside the state for the next year and a half in sufficient numbers. Obviously, that would take a lot of effort. So they're shifting their fights to courts. There's really nothing they can do in Texas, but now we've seen Democrats in other states try to respond, preparing to do so in California, most notably.
Ben, I get so frustrated with this process because it seems like every few years it's going to bounce back and forth, and I guess maybe it's sort of done that for a long time. I find it interesting that with Governor Newsom's plans or threats, depending on how you want to look at it, that former California Governor Schwarzenegger is trying to defend his plan that he had put in place, a bipartisan plan. Now, was it really bipartisan? Was it just his labeling? Or was it somebody really trying to be fair at that time to do it the right way?
I think it's the latter. At the time, they thought that was the way to take politics out of redistricting. And we've seen Democrats, embrace this for a long time. We've seen Eric Holder, the former attorney general, and former President Obama for years encourage Democrats and other states to take redistricting every 10 years out of the state houses that are controlled by one party or another, put them in independent commissions, which in theory would be insulated from politics. But, the challenge to that is that this is a two-party country, so if one party decides not to play politics, it really doesn't help if the other party continues to. And that's basically what, we've seen now. So we've seen Schwarzenegger saying he's going to try to defend his legacy. California has to bring this before the voters to be applied in November. He might try to fight that. But big picture is that Republicans have started this arms race, and now Democrats are racing to catch up, and they have fewer options to do so.
Redistricting and cutting Democrats out or cutting Republicans out sometimes is down to which side of the street you live on. This is big data. These are big maps. Texas is a big state. Did they have these maps ready to go, or have they been scrambling for the last month and a half to draw up the new maps?
Yeah, I mean, both parties have experts in data and software that can really punch these out with computers quite quickly. This is not, digging out your middle school protractor and drawing lines in between cities and states because they'd still be at it. But they can do this with very exacting software using voter data. And how this has been explained to me is that you can assign a score to voters based on the voter files and how likely they are to vote for a certain party. And you can score out different districts and configure different areas so that you can assume, based on assumptions about the electorate, how much blue or how red this district could be if you nip and tuck different neighborhoods away and put it in one district or the other. So they're using a very exact science to do this. But, what the big question is, this is based on the way people voted in the last election. In Texas, for example, will Latino voters turn out for Republicans next year, even without Donald Trump on the ballot? Both parties tell me that's a very open question. And if it doesn't end up that way for Republicans, this could backfire in some sense because a lot of those gains were from Latino voters who traditionally backed Democrats and then came out for Republicans in a way that basically split the demographic 50-50, which was unprecedented.
That's interesting. And Ben, what are the people of Texas saying? Are they staying kind of quiet? Do they support the plan?
Well, I think it really depends on who you talk to. Obviously, this country is so polarized that partisans are really driving into both camps. We've seen the few public hearings for this map has really, really prompted an overwhelming negative response from people who have felt motivated to go out there and actually comment in these field hearings. But it's telling that this process was basically rushed behind closed doors and through very few hearings and review. If you, depending on the polling you do, again, polling says a bunch of different things, but there have been polls that show that this is not really supported by people, that people sort of buy into this idea that this is a sort of changing of the rules when the game has already started. But again, Republicans have almost absolute power in Texas. So they are allowed to do this. They're going to do it potentially in Indiana, in Ohio, other states where they can squeeze out more seats because really the president has been asking for this as part of their political strategy to defend their majority in the midterm. So, we'll see if this is something that motivates voters next year. And if it's possible that this could turn people off to politics and maybe get them to vote one way or the other. We just have to wait and see.
All right. Ben Siegel, ABC News correspondent on Capitol Hill. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I've taken the RV to Texas a couple of times. They have some beautiful RV parks there. And if you've listened to some of the wild stories of us in our RV and you think, what? It does sound like a lot of fun. I got to tell you, now is the time to save big on motorhomes at Byerly RV. Right now, you can get up to 42% off during the final closeout sale. 42%. This is your chance to grab one of the most popular motorhomes before they're gone for good. And I got to say, I was out at Byerly last week, and the lot was a little less full than usual. Byerly RV has all sorts of cool RVs in stock, more than 30 different brands, and each one offers something different. But they've got little travel trailers, they've got fifth wheels, camper vans, gas and diesel motorhomes, and now is a great time to check them out. You can check them out online, ByerlyRV.com, or stop by Byerly RV. They're in Eureka. They're at 109 and 44.
4 green seats and parking for the August 25th Cardinals game against Pittsburgh. Want to throw the first pitch at the Cards game September 16th against the Cincinnati Reds?
Do we have your attention now?
How about a trip behind the scenes with Frank Cusimano at KSDK News Channel 5? Brunch with Heidi Glaus, Jennifer Blome, and Kelly Jackson. Billikens tickets, dinner with Carney.
Not sure who would really want that, but we're going to do it anyway.
1 year's worth of Dogtown Pizza, and so much more. Tomorrow is the 15th annual St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer Radiothon. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., KTRS Cares has great auction items to bid on.
Tune in all day tomorrow to find out how to bid on these great auction items. Just listen for the keyword to text in your bid to 84126.
Mizzou football.
The rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291CW St. Louis.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. In Texas, victims' families of the July 4th flooding voiced pain and outrage at a hearing in the state Senate today after losing their loved ones. 138 people died. 27 were children who died at Camp Mystic. Cece Williams Stewart's 8-year-old daughter died.
Seal's life ended not because of an unavoidable act of nature, but because of preventable failures.
State lawmakers are poised to pass legislation to upgrade alert systems. Texas House lawmakers have convened for a special session. State Republicans could call for a vote on the redistricting measure today. It comes after weeks of protests by state Democrats as Republicans try to gain 5 new GOP seats ahead of the midterms. As President Trump tries to broker a face-to-face between Ukraine and Russian leaders, both sides continue to carry out drone attacks. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge has more.
On the front lines, fighting remains intense in Ukraine's eastern Donbass region, and Zelensky today telling reporters the situation on the battlefield is tough, but not as bad as Putin would like to think. The Ukrainian leader telling reporters Russia's economy is crumbling because of the war, and that's an indication, I think, that Zelensky wants the US to reintroduce the threat of harsher sanctions against the Russian economy if Putin doesn't agree to meet.
Rough surf and winds from Hurricane Erin starting to batter coastal communities, even though that Category 2 hurricane won't make landfall in the U.S. North Carolina is expected to get the brunt of the surge. Governor Josh Stein today declaring a state of emergency and ordering evacuations in the Outer Banks.
We are anticipating coastal flooding from massive waves, tropical storm force winds, and tidal and storm surge for much of the state shoreline, especially the Outer Banks from this evening through Thursday.
New York City's mayor has also closed beaches to swimming. You're listening to ABC News.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis Emergency Management Commissioner Sarah Russell is no longer employed by the city of St. Louis. This following a report on the deadly May 16th tornado. The report has said then Commissioner Russell refused to recognize the agency's failures or take personal responsibility during her interview. Mistakes include the fact that Russell was not in the SEMA office when the tornado touched down. Russell and SEMA staff were instead attending a workshop at another downtown St. Louis location, which left them unable to activate the sirens from the office. A communications breakdown resulted in no one activating the sirens, so the sirens failed to sound. And even if the sirens had been activated, the report noted many residents would not have heard them. Russell served as St. Louis SEMA commissioner since 2022. The May 16th tornado killed 5 people and damaged thousands of structures. 5 people accused of a drug smuggling operation in the St. Louis area are in custody. Investigators say Christopher Tay, Stan Times, Vincent Woods, Terry Smith, and Rene Garcia were arrested by federal authorities yesterday. All of the suspects have been indicted on drug-related charges. This case is part of Operation Take Back America, a nationwide initiative that marshals the full resources of the Department of Justice. Former prosecutor and Missouri House Speaker Catherine Hanaway will serve as Missouri's next Attorney General. Governor Mike Kehoe announced Hanaway's appointment yesterday after Andrew Bailey announced his resignation to serve as co-deputy director of the FBI. Hanaway says fighting crime is her top priority.
First and most important part of this job is to protect Missourians from anyone who would do violence against them, who would rip them off in financial schemes, who would abuse them through providing terrible care and getting paid by Medicaid, and anyone who would try to invade their constitutional rights. Working with local prosecutors, sheriffs, police, and the Highway Patrol, fighting crime is and will remain job one for this office.
Hanaway's appointment marks the first time a woman will serve as Attorney General in Missouri. Hanaway begins her new role on September 8th. Today, the Missouri House of Representatives is holding a hearing for residents of the St. Louis region as they seek public input concerning property tax reform. Details from KTRS's Steve Potter.
Today's meeting is one in a series held across the state by the Special Interim Committee on Property Tax Reform, part of the group's ongoing work to recommend solutions that promote fairness, transparency, and sustainability. In a 3-hour meeting held last Wednesday in Kansas City, topics included proposed changes to the system that would make assessments and appeals easier for the public to undertake. Committee Chair Tim Taylor says public turnout has been strong and that the 20-member committee has so far heard 12 hours of testimony and plans to recommend changes next year. This evening's public hearing on Missouri property tax reform will begin at 5:30 at Center of Clayton and will be live streamed at house.mo.gov. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. Anheuser-Busch is investing $300 million into its brewery here in St. Louis. Company leaders say the investment will improve supply chain infrastructure, allowing for the transportation of more American-grown ingredients to the brewery to help expand the distribution of its beers. The company is also expanding career opportunities for veterans by adopting a system that translates military experience into skills needed for manufacturing careers. Now for the market report brought to you by JBL Financial. Listen to the retirement coaches Aaron and Jeff Lapidus every Saturday, 9 to 10 a.m., right here on the Big 550 KTRS. Wall Street at the close today, Dow Jones up 16 to 44,938. S&P 500 down 15 to 6,395. The NASDAQ down 142 points to 21,172. Now let's get a check of sports and traffic from Captain Paul Kopsky.
Meep, meep.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather tonight, clear with an overnight low of 67. Tomorrow, sunny, high of 82. Currently, it's partly cloudy, 86 degrees at 4:08. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
When you go and get your car washed, do you really care which car wash you go to? Yes, because not all car washes are created equal. Country Club Car Wash is the local family-owned and family-operated car wash since 1989. All these other ones that are popping up, they're all run by out-of-town hedge funds. Keep it local. Keep it great. Touchless car washes, no brushes, inside and out. 5 area locations, Country Club Car Wash or cccwstl.com.
The 37th Midwest Salute to the Arts invites you to a 3-day outdoor arts festival at Moody Park in Fairview Heights, Illinois, August 22nd through the 24th. Visitors can immerse themselves in a celebration of art, enjoy local food vendors, and a kids' creation station. Also, join us for Uncommon Collaboration, an exploration of contemporary sculpture exhibit, in partnership with Art Village Fairview. For more information, visit MidwestSalute.com. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Steeple Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids. To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126. The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Glaus Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer. You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our headlines for this Wednesday afternoon, August 20th. Powerball jackpot climbs to $643 million ahead of tonight's drawing.
Tonight.
The grand prize is the largest Powerball jackpot in more than a year. The jackpot has risen to $643 million ahead of tonight's drawing. If a player wins the drawing, the cash value of the jackpot, about $300 million, sitting at $290.6 million. The winner will be able to choose between the lump sum payment or 30 graduated payments over 29 years. Of course, you got to match 6 winning numbers. The jackpot rose from $609 million on Monday after no one drew the winning numbers. And of course, while no one scored the big one, winners in Arizona and Texas did match 5 numbers and earned $1 million each. So that wouldn't be too shabby either. The odds of winning, pretty steep. 1 in 292.2 million. So, good luck to all.
All right, so hang on though.
Excuse me.
Yes.
I got to text Jen.
Right.
Get the tickets.
Get all the money you can. You take the lump sum and they almost cut it in half.
Right.
And then the taxes come in.
Are you really going to complain about winning the lottery?
You didn't even talk about the taxes yet.
You
Lop
can
off
honestly.
I thought that was part of the cutting off.
One lump sum, if you get it spread out over, 20 years, you get the full amount, but you're still taxed every year. But you take the one lump sum, they kind of cut it in half, and then you cut in.
So you're probably only getting $150. Forget it. I'm not in it.
I was going to say,
it.
leave it to
it.
Josh to complain about winning the lottery.
What's the point?
I don't even want to do it. Well, this is a dark story, but it's one that is a little bit of a head scratcher. Brian Koberger's professor warned
I saw
that
this.
he'd stalk and sexually abuse people.
Yep.
A former criminology professor of convicted murderer Brian Koberger warned coworkers about him potentially harassing, stalking, and sexually abusing future students if one day he became a professor. That professor is quoted as saying he's smart enough that in 4 years we'll have to give him a PhD. Mark my word, I work with predators. If we give him a PhD, that's the guy that in many years when he's a professor, we'll hear he's harassing, stalking, and sexually abusing his students at whatever university. Based on how he talks to women and treats women, people in the department thought he was a possible future rapist.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
A student also told police she never met anyone who acted in such a condescending manner and wondered why people in power in the department did not address his behavior. The way he spoke to females in the department was unsettling to them. Now, I'm not blaming those folks, and many of us might be out of work if every time we acted like a jerk, somebody would report us.
Yeah, you're done.
However, it's really unsettling that people openly talked about how strange/dangerous this horrible human being was.
Well, they always say if you see something, say something. But again, they
guy's
didn't
a
say
jerk.
they didn't say he was doing these things. They just said he has the
potential. Yeah.
And I wonder, what do you do about that? What do you do about that? Maybe you don't hire him to be the professor at your university, but
Well, you saw that one of the newer details that was released is that one of the surviving roommates in the house heard him call one of the girls by name.
Yeah.
oh my God.
So that is also
So, as we've kind of
Creepy.
figured, certainly wasn't random. He'd been planning for a while, clearly.
Yeah. And in addition to sad and scary news, a man battling that rare brain infection from the amoeba in the Lake of the Ozarks passed away yesterday. The hospital gave no further details about that. He has been in the hospital since August 10th. His symptoms began 2 days earlier. He was water skiing at the Lake of the Ozarks and got apparently water up his nose. They say that people are infected when water containing the parasite enters the body through the nose. Usually while victims are swimming or diving, it has to involve some pretty forceful water going up there, which I guess you get while you're tubing or whatever. Symptoms include headache, fever, nausea, but it quickly leads to severe brain damage.
How old was he?
I don't think it's said. They didn't give a lot of information about him, but they say that people are urged to keep your head out of the water while swimming in lakes.
Impossible.
How often does that happen?
So I would like to ask the next time we have Dr. Johar on, what can these lakes do
To prevent that or
can
limit
you
it?
kill these parasites? I don't know.
And the other thing is the amoeba is particularly active when water temperatures exceed
Yeah.
77 degrees.
I know that there's been a lot of I think it's more than scum on a lot of lakes because of the heat and the humidity.
Yeah.
So there's a
lot
lot.
of stuff blooms.
Yeah, a lot of stuff going on in the lakes this summer. I got to tell you, you might even be able to learn a little something about that because there is a fantastic event coming up. It's called the TEDx St. Louis Women's Event, and it's run by TEDx St. Louis. This is the 25th event. They do 2 events a year these days, but this one is happening Friday, September 5th at Tulsa Performing Arts Center, and it is going to spotlight bold, brilliant, innovative women who are really shaping the future in tangible ways. We're talking about innovation, technology, transportation, infrastructure, the arts, you name it. All of these women are going to take the stage for about a 10-minute presentation, and they're not just inspiring stories. These are like powerful ideas that are meant to not only spark change, but spark a conversation. So there are just a few weeks left to get your tickets, and you can do that by going to tedxstlouis.org. So you can become part of what is next. Now, it is a women's event, but all are invited. Again, it's TEDx Saint, and that's spelled out Louis.org. Coming up, Lauren Risley joins us to talk real estate market, and we'll find out if she thinks St. Louis is one of the easiest places to sell a home.
A big KTRS shout out to Lisi Lumber, family owned and family operated since 1872. Lisi Lumber has built the St. Louis metropolitan area. They've worked with builders and contractors and homeowners. They provide building materials from soup to nuts. 2 hardware stores in Belleville ready to serve you. Millwork, insulating material, wallboard, roofing materials, you name it, Lisi Lumber can help because Lisi Lumber is just that much better. LisiLumber.com.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time. And you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau, see what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
Everyone's talking about these weight loss drugs, and it's a good thing we've got Dr. Joe Molesky with us, a St. Louis native and board-certified primary care physician. Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
The magic cure is these weight loss shots. They're injected once weekly. They're not like the old medications that you've seen 20, 30 years ago. These medications actually work. They're injected once weekly, and patients see within the first 90 days 10 to 15 pounds down. It simply works, and that's why I recommend it to all of my patients. You simply go online, book an appointment. You fill out a health questionnaire form. You get an appointment on our schedule. It's all telemedicine based. It's all done from your home. And then you meet with me or one of my nurse practitioners. And then after the 10, 15-minute consult, the medication is delivered right to your door discreetly, and you get started right now on your weight loss journey.
And you want to start to lose weight? None better than to call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Our house in the middle of our streets. Our house in the middle of our house in the middle of our streets.
All right, before we get to the topic at hand, we're going to talk small spaces, big design. We did mention that somebody in Mississippi is now charging $20,000 to design.
What? Dorm rooms.
But
furniture included?
Yeah, I think so.
20,000.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
crazy.
All right,
so
all right.
Lauren's going to give us some ideas that
Less
are
than 20,000.
much less than that. But Lauren, I got a press release yesterday claiming St. Louis is one of the top 20 easiest locations to sell a home. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
Okay.
Yep.
Is it because we're in the right price range? Is it because we're in the Midwest? Why do you think it is?
I think inventory. So
Okay.
if you said, it's, gosh, I don't even know what the opposite question would be. That's how my brain works.
I know it is.
Let me reverse
We know you
engineer
will.
this. Okay. I think when it says for sellers to sell a house, right?
Yeah.
It's because there's about one house for every 10 qualified
Got
buyers.
it. So it's still a selling market?
Yep, it's still a selling market. We haven't seen a balanced market in at least 15 years. This isn't like a COVID thing.
Okay.
A balanced market, it's very tough to have. You typically need 6 months of inventory, meaning if no new houses went on the market, it would take 6 months to sell everything on the market.
Oh.
And we're at about 2 months
Oh.
of inventory. So now, does it feel different than it did during the pandemic? For sure, right? You know, we're not getting 65 offers
Right.
and 150 over asking. If a house is priced well and in a good price point, shows really well, we can still get multiple offers, but there's still a supply and demand issue.
Got it.
So as long as there's a supply and demand issue, it'll always be a seller's market.
And somebody on the text line is saying, defined easy. Does that mean time on the market?
Yeah.
Does that mean the mechanics of actually selling it? What does easy mean? I was assuming time on the
Yeah,
market.
quick and a good price.
Yeah, as far as that goes. Okay, so let's talk about decorating kind of on a dime and those really small places. Now, my nephew, who you know,
I
Jude,
do.
just moved into the frat house. And
Oh, boy.
yeah.
I've been there.
Oh, boy.
I'm going to say there's not a lot of decorating there.
Okay.
But there are some things that you can do to make those spaces kind of cool.
You're
And
talking about in small spaces or in frat houses?
Well, small
'Cause
spaces.
I was coming to the table with just small spaces.
yeah, small spaces, not the frat house.
I think
That's
you
a whole
decorate a frat
different-
house with like empty beer cans.
That's
like
maybe
shoes everywhere.
Your favorite kind of football team flag,
Pizza
and
boxes.
Call it a day.
Yeah. Beautiful.
And that's pretty much what that looks like.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
But let's talk about maybe my niece's dorm room next year.
Sure.
It'll be a little bit different.
Oh, that's going to be exciting for
I
her.
know,
It's going to
right?
be very. I'll come with you.
Okay.
Yeah. So whether you're have people moving into college, their dorms or smaller spaces. If you had to guess, what do you think the average apartment in the United States? Now, keep in mind
square footage,
and keep in mind, obviously,
York.
New York is. But what is the average square footage of all apartments in the United States?
1,200 square feet.
My 2-bedroom was 850.
I was going to say 750.
886.
886.
I win.
The
You're
average
closest.
in New York is 500.
Oh, gross.
I've seen a couple friends' apartments, and I don't know how you do it.
I mean, with small space, big design.
Yeah.
So I mean, if 500 square feet, you're getting creative. You're looking at a Murphy bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. Your couch is a futon for your guest bedroom.
I've seen
Uh-huh.
this furniture that instead of pulling out, it pulled like diagonal.
I like what you're doing with your hands.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't
That
understand
doesn't
what
look
you're.
diagonal anyway.
Instead of pulling out, it pulled, like
That's a Murphy
That's
bed.
a-
like, but this is like their drawers
yeah.
for things.
Oh.
And then you stuff
Interesting.
stuff in there, and then
and pop them back up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually looked at some videos of New York, like best management of spaces, and it shows New York apartments, and it will have the bed folds down from the wall, but then raises up.
Oh, so
then
you
that
have some
goes up,
space underneath it.
and then but where the bed was, so let's say it's 3 feet off the ground, everything's on a track, right to left. So the bed's there. When you're done sleeping, it pushes up towards the ceiling, and then what was underneath the bed pushes up, and it's a desk.
Ooh.
Folds out into like a desk. So it's like your home office
Clever.
bed all on one little wall.
Oh my
And then
gosh.
that way, the other wall, you have, a couch or whatever.
Hey, look, you work from home. You never have to leave your 500 square foot apartment.
I would have to leave my five. I wouldn't work from home. I'd work from
anywhere else.
Anywhere else. Yeah.
But I say that and say, how do you do it? We always say we could spend months in the RV, which is
How much
tiny,
square foot is
but
that?
it's smaller than that. But it is about organization and what are you doing with all of the stuff and making storage underneath the bed, or so what are some other suggestions?
So one of the biggest things we talk about is multifunctional furniture. So, I even have this at the Cuba house. I mean, it's enough space for people, but then when you get a house full of people, like seats are hard to find, right?
Right.
You're using coolers as a bench and all that stuff. But if you look at ottomans, it's nice because sometimes the top will come off.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like the smaller circular one. So you can store magazines or TV remotes
Or
or whatever,
blankets.
blankets inside, but people can also sit on it, if they come over, or it's a footrest. And so that's a multifunctional furniture. A futon is obviously multifunctional. The other thing too is when you're looking at storage, go vertical.
Okay.
Versus, like a console table that goes right to left. Visually, that's taking up a lot of wall space.
Oh.
But if you have something that just goes, you might get 8 feet tall, but only 3 feet wide, it's visually not taking up a lot of wall space. So it gives the appearance that it's bigger.
Great point.
And the other thing too is finding ways, especially if it's a dorm, or a small apartment, is finding ways to designate spaces. So like an area rug in where you would call the living room or something like that really designates that space.
Oh, I like that. Yes.
As the living room, even if there's a desk on the wall 3 feet away, it still makes that space.
Feel
A
like a
little
living
couch,
room.
a lamp, and a rug
the
makes that
center
feel.
of what
Yep.
we're doing.
Even though the kitchen and the living room are in the same room, I can
Yep.
say I'm in the living room.
You
now.
can sit on the couch and stir your ramen noodles. It's it's convenient living.
Probably wash your hands afterwards.
Exactly.
All of it.
Yeah, Adam and I are going to talk a little bit more on the show this Sunday because we've actually had clients asking, like, hey, we're sending our kids off to Mizzou or wherever they're going. Like, do you have any recommendations? And so that is some of the stuff. And under bed storage,
Yes.
you talked about that. And
And maybe lifting the bed. I
Yep.
think we
Yeah.
did, like on cinder blocks, or now I know they make those plastic things that are probably nicer than the
I think
cinder
you
blocks.
should do cinder blocks. I think you should do cinder blocks. That sounds very fancy.
It is. You can always spray paint them.
That's true. That's true. Oh, that would be cute.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, getting like don't have a ton of bold statements in there, right? But like one bold statement. So like whether it's a large piece of artwork or, something.
Your football team's flag.
Your football team's
or
flag,
whatever.
but maybe framed so it feels fancier.
Okay.
Right? Like
Ooh,
put it in a
framed.
shadow box or something.
I don't think the guys' apartments are doing that.
All right. Well, if they paid
I'm saying
20,
they
if they
should.
paid $20,000, I bet
They
they
better
would.
be doing it.
But you don't need a. I mean,
Yeah.
the saving grace is an IKEA.
Yes.
If you have an IKEA close, you're good for about probably $1,500. Otherwise, Amazon, Wayfair, really, really, really great options to find some affordable items. My favorite, and I don't live in a dorm, is thrift shopping.
Oh.
Going and finding. I did almost the entire Cuba house through Facebook Marketplace and like thrift stores. And like you said, you can paint the cinder box. You can paint if you find a bedroom set or a coffee table and you're like, this is all scuffed up or paint it.
Right.
Paint it and
change out the maybe the handles or the pulls.
Yeah, there's a lot of budget friendly ways to have something look high design without spending 20 grand. Back to the 20 grand.
Yeah.
How much space did this include? Is this like
these are regular dorm rooms?
So I
It's
bypassed
crazy.
the dorm room in my college years and just went straight to an apartment. Does a dorm room have a separate bedroom or is it one big room?
one big room.
It's, what?
Yeah.
12 by 12?
What? It's
Yeah.
like prison.
Yes.
No offense, college students.
Yeah.
But like my son just moved into an apartment. His bedroom is probably, it's probably maybe not 15 by 15. But now at some places they're making them really nice. 4-bedroom apartment. Everybody's got their own bathroom.
Which is
Wow.
really, really nice.
But the bedroom
Yeah.
itself is pretty small.
Well, and even like it's even like I've seen bunk beds, that have no bottom.
Yeah.
Right.
Bunk bed, right?
With
So
a
is it
couch
still a
under
bunk
there
bed?
or-
or your
or
desk.
desk.
Yep. And then that gives you kind of like the New York thing where it slides up the wall, just
Uh-huh.
old school technology.
And
of
that's
like,
what my dad and brother-in-law and Jew built, kind of a loft. They had ordered all of the wood at Menards, picked it up over at Purdue, and then built it so that you do have that space underneath for the refrigerator and the microwave and everything else to make the most of. Any other tips?
It's funny, Adam, when we were discussing the show for this week, and we were like, let's do some stuff about people moving into their dorms or if people have smaller apartments. And he said, oh, yeah, my buddy has a mini fridge as his nightstand.
Oh.
And I was like, does he get like thirsty like quickly? Or I have a jug of water that I keep on the nightstand, but
Yeah.
the whole mini fridge, that's a whole
And
new
a buddy
thing.
as in like a 40-year-old guy?
So
or
that
like,
was my exact question. I
Uh-huh.
said, like, you're
How's his
like a
love
buddy
life?
like when you were in college or like a buddy that's like
Now.
us,
Now.
like in our 40s? And he said, yeah. yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But if you're in college, I think using a mini fridge as an end table is perfectly acceptable.
That works.
I
Good
think
idea,
it's fine.
actually.
You know what? Stack 2 of them on top of each other because if you're in college, you need more than one mini fridge.
And
you need a beer for an
And if your
Absolutely.
bed's up higher, you stack it up, and now it's the high nightstand by your high bed.
See, I was thinking you stack 2 on top of each other and just get like a circular tabletop, put it on top, and now you have a high top table.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, see, the idea is they just continue to roll, and you can hear more of them on Call the Closer with Lauren Risley Realty here on the Big 550 KTRS Sundays at 1. And, of course, if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, of course, call Lauren Risley Realty. And if you have a question, because
Knowledge is power.
Call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684. You can also email her at hello@laurenrisleyrealty.com.
I'll see you next week.
All right. 4:33, Captain Paul, what is Lauren's commute back to the city going to look like?
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We have some nice weather, warm still, but slightly below normal days are ahead of us. We start off Thursday morning at 67 degrees, a high of 84 with partly cloudy skies and dry weather for the afternoon, slightly less humid for Thursday too. And then Friday, partly cloudy and a high of 86. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
Are you tired of looking at those old, worn-out floors? Have you been dreaming of new hardwood floors? Well, then you should start dreaming about Boardwalk Hardwood. It's their annual warehouse sale going on right now through the end of September at all 4 locations. At Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, half off new floors. You can get half off inventory and factory specials, and up to 25% off special order items. Their showrooms, 4 of them at Boardwalk Hardwood Floors, are filled with beautiful styles, great budgets, from timeless classics to modern designs and everything in between. Your home will look beautiful with gorgeous hardwood floors. Rich, stunning hardwood floors, courtesy of BoardwalkHardwood.com. For 25 years, Boardwalk has been your trusted, local, family-owned, quality flooring provider. And if you need hardwood floors, it's their annual warehouse sale now through the end of September at all 4 locations. Boardwalk Hardwood or BoardwalkHardwood.com.
Why do the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads? Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Worldwide Technology Raceway is the only track in America to host a NASCAR event, an IndyCar event, and an NHRA event. Don't miss the upcoming NASCAR Xfinity Series, the NASCAR Cup Series, Enjoy Illinois 300, and the NHRA Midwest Nationals, all happening in September. The track, under the leadership of owner Curtis Francois, continues to upgrade the race experience for fans who come from around the country. For tickets, go to WWTRaceway.com.
Flashback to 1985 when the hair was big, the colors were bright, and the Cards were the National League champs. Don't miss 80s night at Busch Stadium on Friday, September 5th. With a special themed ticket, fans will take home a throwback 1985 National League champs crew neck sweatshirt. Plus, jam out to your favorite 80s hits at a pregame concert by Decade of Decadence. Get your tickets now at cardinals.com/theme.
This is Willie McGee, St. Louis Cardinals for the loop.
Hola amigos, this is Polo Asensio, Spanish broadcaster for your Cardenales, inviting you to Fiesta Cardenales presented by State Farm on September 7th. With a theme ticket, fans will take home a lightweight Cardenales hooded pullover. Don't miss a special heritage celebration in Budweiser Terrace before the game. A portion of each ticket sold will benefit the Hispanic Education, Cultural, and Scholarship Foundation. For tickets or details, visit cardinals.com/fiesta.
The 15th annual KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer is tomorrow. But today, we kick it off with a special auction of the ultimate sports ticket. This prize includes 2 tickets to the following: a City SC game, Mizzou's football home opener, a regular season Blues game, passes to Steeple Charity Golf Classic, a Mizzou basketball game, St. Louis Ambush Soccer, SLU basketball, a 2026 Battlehawks game, and a 2026 St. Louis Cardinals game. 2 tickets to each of these. Place your bid now and tune in all day long to track the bids. To bid, text tickets, your name, and your bid to 84126. That's 84126. The winning bid will be announced today at 5:50 p.m. on the Heidi Glaus Show. And tune in tomorrow for the full Radiothon and more great auction items. The 2025 KTRS Radiothon to help support the St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer.
Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant has been a staple in St. Charles for 35 years. Our comfortable, casual atmosphere offers some of the best comfort food you've ever had. Customers might know our delicious breakfast, but you can have whatever you want, anytime you want, with our full menu 24 hours a day. Nothing warms your heart like Gingham's famous vegetable soup, and we can cater your event, too. If you like homestyle food and great friendly service, you'll love 636-946-0266 or ginghamsrestaurant.com.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
To bring in KTRS Sports Director Brendan Weezy because we saw the headline, Mizzou names a starting quarterback. Sort of?
Yeah.
I mean, what does this mean? It seems like it was a little bit of false advertising.
Slightly, and this is kind of the decision we thought they might make, which is there is no decision.
I mean, basically they're going to get equal play?
That remains to be seen, but Bo Pribula and Sam Horn will each get their opportunities next week against Central Arkansas in the opener. And it makes sense because you can almost treat you can almost treat it like a preseason game. And I think that's the luxury of how this schedule plays out. Now, if you were, say, LSU and you have to go to Clemson, now they've got Garrett Nussmeier as their quarterback. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Or if you're Ohio State, they're hosting number 1 Texas. They just named their starting quarterback a couple of days ago. It was not a slam dunk for the Buckeyes. So Mizzou is in a good position to have this work out the way it does. And I think whether it's Horn or Pribula at the end of the day, they're both going to have a shot to kind of make their final argument next week.
What'll be interesting is will they go series by series, quarter by quarter?
Exactly.
Because if you're really trying to evaluate, you want to see them
all of
against
it.
Everything.
Yeah.
Against the clock, against a pass rush. How do they handle the running? All those things. And
controlling the game.
Doing it against a real opponent will help, but boy, it'd be tough to make that decision, especially if they both are good or both are bad.
And that's something we're not quite sure how that lines up, because you bring up a great point. Do you alternate series back and forth? Because suddenly if you're the guy that comes in the second half and the score's like 35-0, what kind of... exactly? You're not learning much at that point. The game's out of hand. Your teammates, I don't want to say they've checked out, but suddenly it has a different feel than, say, if you're coming on the field the second series of the ball game.
But the starter of the game can only truly be one person. That's the guy that takes the snap on the first series.
Who gets the first snaps?
Yeah.
Right. That will tell us something.
And they haven't named that person.
See, if you were up there at the news conference, you would have nailed it.
Right.
Excuse me, Coach.
So exactly. Who gets the first snap? That individual is technically the starter.
I bet it's Pribula because they paid him to come in and he's a senior.
I think it should be Pribula. I'm not exactly sure that's the way it works out, but I certainly think that's the odds-on favorite here.
Haven't we been here before? Haven't we gone with 2 quarterbacks in the past under Coach Drink?
So 2 years ago, there was also this competition between Brady Cook and Sam Horn. And in that competition, it was Cook got the first half, Horn got the second half. So that sort of clued us in that it wasn't much of a competition and that it was basically Brady's job. So I guess next week, if Horn takes all of the first half snaps, that might be a bit of a tell for us.
Okay. Do we? It's your opinion. I don't have an opinion of it. Do you feel like Horn is the better arm and they think Prebula's maybe better game manager. Is that what we think?
I think so. From what we've heard, is that Horn's got the bigger arm, and if this was just about passing potential, then maybe Sam's that guy. But I think Prebula is the more well-rounded athlete. He's the better runner, and I think in an offense that wants to run the football pretty regularly, he's a good fit. And yeah, I'm not sure who might be the better game manager. We just haven't seen enough of either of these guys yet. I think they'd love it to be Prebula, but I feel like this goes all the way back to last year, and Horn recovering from this injury is that he's been better than maybe anybody thought. And for a guy that's getting ready to play professional baseball here soon, I mean, everything points to Prebula being the guy. But Horn just hasn't let that happen yet. So, I mean, if at the end of the day, and we said it, I think Prebula is the odds-on favorite. But, man, there's a lot of things that point to us saying, well, then why hasn't that already happened?
Yeah. It's very interesting. And in your talks with Coach Drink, does he put into this kind of equation how the rest of the team plays behind one or the other? Do they play harder behind one of the guys?
Well, let's use this as an example. They were both named team captains here a few days ago.
Okay.
They both got
dead heat.
They both got the captain nod, which is kind of wild. And that was the big question for me, right? Who replaces those Brady Cook intangibles, which he clearly had.
Yeah.
There
The
were,
leadership
exactly
part of it.
the physical skills for Brady, arm strength, things like that were maybe debatable. But he had that bulldog mentality to will his team to wins, and he did it multiple times in his Mizzou career. So far, the fact that they've both been named captain tells us that they feel pretty good about how they would lead the team in that role.
Very interesting. What's coming up tonight, Brendan?
We will dig into this deeper with our own Mizzou insider, Eli Hoff. He's actually got a great piece coming up in the STLtoday.com tomorrow that lays out the entire depth chart and some of the reasons behind it. And we'll get into the quarterback situation. We'll talk some Ryder Cup with Skip Berkmeyer, as that should all sort itself out in the next 4 or 5 days at the Tour Championship.
All right, we'll be listening. Thanks, Brendan.
Heidi Rammer, Josh, thank you.
Diana from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers here to remind you, we don't just offer the best pieces, we offer one of the last master hand engravers in our country. My father can create timeless, personal, and unforgettable pieces. Come by our showroom at the corner of Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or learn more online at wowdiamonds.com.
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have 2 locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple of screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
The future of vehicle inspections is now at St. Paul Cadillac. Hi, this is Joe Clements. We are excited and proud to now offer you the latest in vehicle inspection technology. It's called UVI. Imagine getting an MRI scan for your vehicle, and St. Paul is the only dealership in the Midwest to offer you this technology. You have to see it and experience to fully appreciate UVI. The underbody scanner will produce a high-resolution imagery in just seconds, and machine learning algorithms will expose mechanical and safety issues that will be shared with our St. Paul service professionals. You will receive a full report detailing fluid leaks, misaligned parts, rust, tire wear, or damaged components. UVI will even let you know where every scratch or dent is located on your vehicle, ones you might not even know existed. UVI is the future of vehicle inspections, and it's only at St. Paul Cadillac. Come by today and see for yourself or schedule an appointment. The future of service services here. UVI only at St. Paul Cadillac, I-55 at the Herculaneum Auto Mall exit.
Electricity is very important because if you don't have electricity, you're sitting in the dark in more ways than one. And when the lights go out for one last time, maybe, just maybe, you want a whole home generator. Well, that's where Michael Baldy comes in because Michael Baldy can do that. He's putting in a whole home generator for a friend of mine on the hill. Whether you live on the hill or a brand new home, at some point you're going to need some electrical help, and that's where Michael Baldy comes in. He's been an electrician since 1996, and he has a full team of electricians who will help you every single step of the way, whether it's a whole home generator, maybe some extra plugs for the Christmas lights, maybe it's something in the basement, something in the attic, maybe the garage. Doesn't matter. Whether it's an old Victorian home or a brand new commercial building, indoor or out, Michael Baldy, the electrician, has got to be on your phone. Put him on your speed dial, 314-968-9999, 314-968-9999. You can thank me later. Michael Baldy, BaldyElectric.com.
You don't need to wait until it's cold outside to check your furnace. Beat the rush and save with Eldon's $79 Furnace Safety Check Special for new customers. And Eldon will make replacing your aging system a breeze. Get a $300 Eldon rebate off a new Daikin Fit furnace and pay as little as $273 per month, plus receive additional utility rebates if eligible. Also get a free custom air quality assessment with every service call. For details on these specials and to learn more about Daikin Fit systems, visit al-don.com.
Repairing chimneys, walkways, porches, foundations, entire homes, anything to do with brick or stone, you need a tuck pointer you can trust, and that, of course, is Morelli. Morelli's a family-run business, started in 1991, and they're only as good as their last customer. That's why when you check out the reviews online at MorelliTuckPointing.com, you'll notice that they're actual customers who are singing the praises of Morelli. So if you need a tuck pointer, you need Morelli. 314-645-1387 or MorelliTuckPointing.com.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textingterms.us. Texting enrolls you for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply, stop to opt out.
There's a lot on the line in divorce. This is Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell, the largest family law firm in the country. When you find yourself facing divorce, you need a partner you can count on.
Connect with a local divorce attorney today. Text LEGAL66 to 323232. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. 600 Kelwood, St. Louis.
This is Mariah, third generation at Newsetter's Fine Jewelry. Buying an engagement ring can be intimidating. At Newsetter's, we ensure complete understanding of your purchase. We offer a choice in both lab and mine-grown diamonds and are able to work with any budget. Let our family help educate you on your choice at Big Ben and Doherty Ferry or at wowdiamonds.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
8 minutes before 5 o'clock, let's get a check of traffic with Captain Paul. You paid extra for a window seat, but when you boarded your plane, there was no window. Two separate class action suits have been filed. Alex Stone, ABC News correspondent in L.A., joins us with that story. So this is interesting. I mean, is it one of those things that you were misled?
Well, so, yeah, in today's world, and you've probably sat in one of these rows, that there are these rows where there is no window because of the structure of the airplane and gaps between, for the air ducts and electrical or where they've welded the outside of the plane together. And in today's world, having a window seat is seen, if you don't have status, as an upgraded seat. And they charge extra money often to get that window seat. And so you sit down and there's no window there. And United can charge $50 more for a window seat domestically, $100 internationally. So there are two new class action lawsuits that have been filed. One is against Delta. A Brooklyn man says he went New York to Orange County, California, chose a window seat, paid for it, sat down, spent the entire flight next to a blank wall, and had paid for it, thought he was going to have a window. Then two folks are suing United as part of their class action lawsuit. There is a woman who bought 3 window seats. She says she spent $169 on her flights and sat down, and there were no windows there. And then she's claustrophobic and wanted to look out the window. Another United plaintiff said he used miles to choose a window seat going San Francisco to D.C., and the flight had no window. So the lawsuits are going after Delta and United, and they claim that their 737s, 757s, and Airbus A321s, that they've got this problem. Really, every airplane has a problem somewhere on board just based on how the seats are lined up, and this is not a new thing. Planes have had it for a very long time. But they claim that other airlines do a good job of warning you when you are paying and booking that seat that there is no window there, but the United and Delta don't do that, and you think you're going to have a window, and you sit down, and there's no window. So the airlines, they're not commenting on it because of pending litigation. The plaintiffs, yeah, they want money, but they say they want United and Delta to warn you that there is no window there. Yeah, some people don't necessarily want a window. They just want the wall. You notice how many people now don't put their window shades up? That I'm somebody who, I like to look out the window.
So do I.
I love to see what's going by on landing. I love to know how close we are before we touch down. I feel like nobody puts up their window shades any longer. So to a lot of people, this may not be a big deal. But for those who want a window there for whatever reason, claustrophobia, or they just like to look out the window, whatever it is, and they pay for it and they don't get it, they're the ones who are angry and all this. Or you're on a 12-hour international flight, you think you're going to have a window and sunshine coming in, and you've got a blank wall and darkness there. Those are the people who are saying, hey, look, I paid for it, I should get it.
So are we having lawsuits because these folks that you've already mentioned, they walk off the plane, they're not happy, they go to customer service and they say, hey, I paid, here's my bill, I paid for this and I didn't get it, and then they weren't getting satisfaction?
Well, they say, yeah, that the airlines have decided, well, that's what you get, kind of. You got a seat next to nobody else. One of the one guy, the United who going San Francisco to D.C., that he claims that he got like 7,000 miles back, which was a fraction of what he spent. The United said sorry about that and gave him some back. So in some cases, if you complain, you may get a little bit back to say, hey, I didn't have a window. But they know every plane has these seats. And so if they were doing that for everybody, they would be really discounting those seats if everybody who complained about it was getting something back. It seems like if Spirit can warn you that seat that you're booking doesn't really have a window, do you still want it? That seems like United and Delta could do that, but apparently they're not.
Now, is this one of those lawsuits that if somebody is listening, they go, hey, that's happened to me. How do I get in on this? Is it still kind of open-ended, or this is kind of just these two separate things?
It's a good question. I don't know. You could Google the lawsuit, and it'll come up in the law firms that are doing it, if they're bringing in more plaintiffs into it, or if it's this closed group. I don't know if it's going to be one of these, where you get a letter in the mail saying, hey, and then you get $5 back in the end because so many people get into it and they divvy up the money. But it's definitely this group. I don't know if they're going to add any more onto it, but it is something that people have complained about for a long time. And this group claims that there is something specific to United and Delta, not that they have these seats, every airline does, but the fact that they don't warn you about it when you're booking.
Yeah, makes sense. Alex Stone, always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
I'll tell you what, there will be no complaints if you win the ultimate sports ticket. You guys, tomorrow is our 15th annual Radiothon, and we are kicking it off with this mega auction item today. It's the ultimate sports ticket. This is 2 tickets to St. Louis City SC game, 2 tickets to the Mizzou football home opener, 2 tickets to the Blues regular season game, 2 tickets to the Stiefel charity golf tournament, 2 tickets to a Mizzou basketball game, 2 tickets to a SLU basketball games, 2 tickets to a St. Louis ambush game, 2 tickets to a 2026 Battlehawks game, 2 tickets to a 2026 Cardinals game, and 2 tickets to Guns and Hoses with all your food and drink.
Ooh.
So right now, you can bid on our text line, Woods Basement Systems text line 84126. All you gotta do is auction item and then tell us what your bid is.
So tickets, what's your bid, and then give us your name.
Yes.
And
so
that all you can eat and drink at Guns N' Hoses. That's good. And this
Big time.
all goes to a great cause.
Yeah, do
at
we
the
have
end
a
of the
current
day.
bid?
$1,200. $6.
All right.
That's a bargain.
And
So-
I mean, it is truly the ultimate sports ticket. And then again, tomorrow there will be all kinds of fun things up for grabs. It all starts at 6 a.m. So join us then as well. Coming up, we'll talk to the author of America's Reluctant Prince, The Life of JFK Jr.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardy contractor and Pella window specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a Banner Day.
Galmish & Sons have been providing quality heating and cooling services since 1950. They work exclusively with Lennox, the preferred choice of St. Louis homeowners. Call Galmish & Sons for your next Lennox HVAC installation and service. 314-993-1110.
The Big 550.
KTRS St. Louis.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franson. A redistricting battle is brewing. Texas House lawmakers are expected to take a vote on Republican efforts to redraw congressional maps to gain 5 new GOP seats for the midterm elections. Texas Democrats broke quorum for 2 weeks in protest. California's governor announced his state would put a measure on the ballot asking voters to redraw its maps. Here's ABC News political director Avery Harper.
Lawmakers there discussing the ballot language that could go on a ballot in November should they formally call for a special election to vote on redistricting in that state. What's different about Texas than California is that California voters are going to have to decide whether to allow for California lawmakers to redraw those maps.
Today, Florida's Governor Ron DeSantis says he will ask to allocate another U.S. House seat, claiming undercounted population in the 2020 census. After President Trump federalized the police force in Washington, D.C. this month and deployed National Guard troops, Vice President J.D. Vance visited troops at Union Station along with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Protesters also there.
Hey guys, how you doing?
Chants of free D.C. could be heard as the vice president delivered hamburgers to National Guard troops at Amtrak's Union Station.
I think you hear these guys outside here screaming at us. Of course, these are a bunch of crazy protesters.
J.D. Vance said he could recall being verbally accosted by vagrants with his family at the station years ago. Top Trump aide Stephen Miller said the protesters should be ignored.
These stupid white hippies that all need to go home and take a nap because they're all over 90 years old.
Stephen Portnoy, ABC News, Washington.
Surge warnings and watches along with dangerous rip currents stretching up and down the East Coast as Hurricane Aaron churns in the Atlantic. The eye of the storm won't make landfall but still poses a threat. In North Carolina's Outer Banks, the governor has declared a state of emergency. You're listening to ABC News.
Dr. Joe, it can get very confusing, but the one thing we need to know is GLP-1, right? That's the magic cure.
Yeah, they're on the med, and these medications are used, these GLP-1s, for reducing inflammation in your body. I get so many folks that are like, wow, I don't have the knee pain. I don't have the...
Because once you start losing weight, all these other things naturally happen to you in a positive way. Not just talk about the deals for KTRS listeners at stlmedweightloss.com.
All KTRS listeners, they get $50 to $100 off their first month. And what's beautiful about it, too, hey, I get it. The economy, what we just had, guys, things are difficult right now, but we make the plan work for you. We have financing options. We make this work for you because we realize how important it is to get down in your weight, get your confidence back, and really start feeling like the old you.
Call stlmedweightloss.com and ask Dr. Joe. stlmedweightloss.com.
This is KTRS News. I'm Sobe Bay. St. Louis Emergency Management Commissioner Sarah Russell is no longer employed by the city of St. Louis following a report on the deadly May 16th tornado. The report said then Commissioner Russell refused to recognize the agency's failures or take personal responsibility during her interview. Mistakes include the fact that Russell was not in the SEMA office when the tornado touched down. Russell and SEMA staff were instead attending a workshop at another downtown St. Louis location, which made them unable to activate the sirens from the office. A communications breakdown resulted in no one activating the sirens, so the sirens failed to sound. And even if the sirens had been activated, the report noted many residents would not have heard them. Russell served as St. Louis SEMA commissioner since 2022. The May 16th tornado killed 5 people and damaged thousands of structures. A deadly officer-involved shooting early this morning in Bell Ridge is being investigated. Police say this all started around 2:15 this morning with a police chase in St. Anne. The chase ended just before 1 in the morning along the 3300 block of Wellsburg Drive in Bell Ridge, where a St. Anne police officer fatally shot the suspect. There's no word at this point on what led up to the police chase. The suspect is said to be a 37-year-old man. His name has not yet been released. Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe announced the appointment of Catherine Hanaway as the state's next Attorney General, replacing Andrew Bailey, who stepped down after his appointment to be co-deputy director of the FBI. More from KTRS's Steve Potter.
Hanaway is currently a partner in a St. Louis law firm. Previously, she served as the chief federal law enforcement officer for the Eastern District of Missouri and also served as Speaker of the Missouri House of Representatives. During yesterday's announcement, Kehoe described Hanaway as a trusted prosecutor with a passion for enforcing the rule of law.
So, Governor, I promise to you that as AG, I will work as hard as I can. I will be innovative. I will adapt to changing times. But more than anything else, I'll show Missourians just how much I care. Thank you.
Hanaway has also been involved with the Regional Business Council and the St. Louis Regional Crime Commission. She officially assumes the role of Missouri Attorney General on September 8th. Steve Potter, KTRS News.
The Missouri House of Representatives has announced the schedule of a series of hearings to be held across the state by the Special Interim Committee on Property Tax Reform. Committee Chair Tim Taylor encourages all Missourians to attend and share their perspectives about how the property tax system can better serve citizens. The St. Louis area meeting will begin today at 5:30 at Center of Clayton. The largest Black-owned festival in the Midwest has canceled its celebration this year. The Taste of Black St. Louis cites the lack of corporate funding due to cutbacks because of widespread DEI program cuts. The Taste of Black STL also said fewer vendors chose to participate this year. The festival was scheduled for September 12th through the 14th at Soldiers Memorial Plaza. Illinois is taking steps to simplify the college admissions process. KTRS's Gillon has the story.
The state has launched One-Click College Admit. It's a statewide direct admissions program for Illinois public universities and community colleges. With One-Click College Admit, high school seniors and community college transfer students in Illinois will receive acceptance in the state's public universities by meeting only one qualification for admissions, a grade point average. The new program waives applications, application fees, essays, and letters of recommendations for students. Jill Enters, KTRS News.
This KTRS Business Minute is brought to you by Walter Knoll Florist, the place for all your floral needs. Place your order anytime at WKF.com. An AI company plans to move its operations to the former St. Louis Post-Dispatch building in downtown St. Louis. Scale AI announced it will relocate from its existing downtown office on Washington Avenue to the Post building in October. Company leaders say this new space will create a state-of-the-art operation with 250 employees. And now let's take a look at the markets, brought to you by JBL Financial. Tune in to Straight Talk on Retirement every Saturday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Wall Street at the close today, Dow Jones up 16 points to 44,938. S&P 500 down 16 points to 6,395. And the Nasdaq down 142 points to 21,172. Now let's get a check of sports and traffic with Captain Paul Kofsky.
Meep, meep.
Thank you, Captain Paul. KTRS weather tonight clear with an overnight low of 67. Tomorrow sunny and a high of 82. Currently we have 86 degrees at 5:09. I'm Sobe Bay, KTRS News, the talk of St. Louis.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement, and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time. And you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau. See what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with. And also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
How do you separate estate planning from elder law? You don't, because they're so intertwined. Let's face it, we're all getting older, and you need to make these decisions today, whether it's for your parents, for yourself, or for future generations. Rudy Beck, Jay Lennox, and Carolyn Stolzer have been navigating these important decisions for more than 50 years. Beck, Lennox, Stolzer, Estate Planning, and Elder Law. Call them, 636-946-7899 or beckelderlaw.com. You can thank me later.
Earn your high school diploma at St. Louis County Library. The Excel Adult High School program gives adults a second chance to pursue their dreams by earning a nationally accredited high school diploma. This free online program helps expand your career opportunities, prepare you for the workforce, or continue your education. The library provides a limited number of scholarships to qualified adult learners, and you can learn more at slcl.org/excel.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
I don't know if interest ever faded, but there seems to be a renewed interest in John F. Kennedy Jr. So we thought it was a good time to call Steve Gillon, author of America's Reluctant Prince, The Life of JFK Jr. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Now, you didn't just do research on the man. You were actually friends. Tell us that story. How did it come to be?
Sure. So I was at Brown, and I was getting a PhD in history back in the early 1980s. And actually, I entered Brown the same year that John did, in the fall of 1979. And I was a teaching assistant in 1982. John would have been John's sophomore year, the spring of his sophomore year, in a class in modern American political history. And before the class began, the professor used to ask his teaching assistants to give a lecture, since that's what we're going to do with the rest of our lives. And I said, I'll give a lecture on the Kennedy administration. I didn't know much about it, but I was always fascinated by the 60s and the Kennedy administration. And it never occurred to me that John would take this class, right? So the first day of class, I'm in the back of the room handing out the syllabi as students are entering, and I see this big mop of brown hair. Like, no, that's not it. That's not. So anyhow, I had a really funny first exposure to John. I practiced this lecture. I wrote it. I spent like 4 weeks writing it, 4 weeks practicing it. I knew it inside and out. There's no way I was going to screw this up. It was a big moment for me, because not only was I giving a lecture in front of a guy who's about a man whose son is sitting in front of me, but my mentor was there, the guy who I wanted to be my dissertation director. Got 125 bright brown students, and I had never given a lecture in public before.
Wow.
So anyhow, this thing is, I was memorizing it 3 or 4 times a day. I get up, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. I get up behind the podium, and my hands are shaking so much I had to put them in my pocket.
Oh,
and the
boy.
the first line of the lecture was, President Kennedy was a pragmatist who did not impose moral solutions on problems, right? So I freeze. And you know how some people, when they're confronted with adversity, they freeze down deep inside and they find that well of strength. Well, I'm not one of those people. I hyperventilate. So I'm up there, and there's a little clock in my head. It's like 10 seconds, 9 seconds. And I look down. I had a text in front of me, but by this point, my vision was blurry, and I knew I had to blurt something out. So I blurted out. It wasn't what I believed then. It's not what I believe now, but I blurted out, President Kennedy had no moral scruples. I had no idea where that came from.
Oh,
but
no.
Fortunately, there was a student in the back of the class, a female student, who was far enough away that she thought it was all a joke, and she laughed, and the whole class erupted in laughter. And it broke the ice. And I gave the lecture, and John, came up to me afterwards and thanked me. And then I didn't see much of him. And then in his senior year, he and I were both frustrated athletes. We started working out together. We were using the varsity weight room, and we were spotting each other on weights. And then he wanted to do some cardio. So we joined a racquetball club in Seekonk, Mass. And a couple times a week, we'd get into a little blue hatchback Honda and go and work out. And then afterwards, go and get something to eat. He never had money. So I was a graduate student, and I'm paying for his dinner. But we ate at Wendy's most nights. So so that's how I really got to know him. And then we just stayed in touch over the years. We just became friends, and I would see him when I was in New York. John, I spent 20-some years at the History Channel. I hosted a whole bunch of shows, and John, this was the idea of the type of person John was. I was coming in and doing talking head stuff for the History Channel, and I wanted to host my own show. So I went to the head of programming one day, and I said, I'd really like to host a show now. And she looked at me and said, Steve, there's two types of people on the History Channel. There's historians, and there's talent. You're an historian.
Oh,
no. And at this point, I'm living in England. I'm teaching at Oxford, and they would fly me in for a week just so I wouldn't be able jet lagged. And I had dinner with John like 3 nights in a row. And I kept telling him this story. And I go into the studio the next day, and they're all shuffling around like, you won't believe what just happened. You won't believe what just happened. Like, what? And they said, John F. Kennedy Jr. called our CEO, and he said that he would do a 30-minute interview on what would have been his father's 80th birthday, but he would do it under one condition. I host the show.
No way.
Yeah, that's John, right? So
wow.
And the show got a lot of attention, and I got my own show that lasted for 11 years after that. So my whole career in television, I really owed to John. He was generous in using his name and his connections to help people who he cared about. And that's just the kind of person he was.
I love that story.
I guess it made up for all those Wendy's dinners that you paid for.
Yeah, it did.
My first question is, John was 3 years old when his father was killed in Dallas. Does he remember anything about Dad?
Not much. He told me that that it was difficult for him because the pictures that are so much a part of the public domain, he has difficulty distinguishing those pictures from his own memories. But the one thing he did remember, he told me the story about how, the famous picture of John under the desk, his father's desk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, what he's told me happened is that his mom would not allow him to chew gum. But his father, if he came to the Oval Office, his father would give him a stick of gum, and he would hide under the desk and chew the gum so his mother wouldn't see him. So that he remembered. But
That's
he
great.
he didn't have very many memories of his father, and he just the assassination, his father's death was just one topic that he just didn't broach with him. He just didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
So I've got sort of a fantasy question, but based in your knowledge of JFK Jr., one of our cohorts here at the radio station has this fever dream of what would have happened had JFK Jr. not died in that plane crash and that sort of thing. And it's really interesting to kind of speculate on that. You knew the guy. Was he going to become a politician? Was he going to make that his life's work?
Yes. The thing about John is, he kept saying his whole life is, I don't want to do what people expect me to do. What people expected him to do was go into politics. He saw his cousins who went into politics before they were ready. They did it because the family pressured them or there was public pressure. And John didn't want to do that. If he went into politics, he wanted to go into politics because he felt he was something he had to offer. So he avoided it for most of his life. So he went to law school, became a DA, then started George Magazine. But by 1998 or so, it was obvious that John was thinking about politics. And he told me that he didn't want to run for Congress. He was essentially offered Daniel Patrick Moynihan's seat when he resigned from the Senate, the one that Hillary Clinton eventually won. But he didn't want to be in Congress. He wanted to be an executive. And I think the plan that was playing out in his mind was running for governor. I guess it was 2001, the governor's race in New York. But John had a lot of things he had to figure out before then. His marriage was falling apart. His magazine was failing. His best friend was dying. So he had a lot of – I think that was his plan. He would have wanted to run for governor, and then if he did succeed, see where it took him. But he had a lot of issues on his plate in 1999 that he had to work through before that could become a reality.
We're talking to Steve Gillon, author of America's Reluctant Prince, The Life of JFK Jr., also a friend of JFK Jr. Do you think he would have been a good politician?
Oh, he would have been great. When you spend time with him, he just had that instinct. That's the long story. I'll make it really short. We were in a bar one night in South Providence, in a working class neighborhood in Providence, where most brown students never go near. And it was back when you wanted to watch a fight, you had to go to a bar to watch HBO. They had the big screen set up.
Yeah.
So we're in this bar, and I'm standing there, and he's standing behind me, and the crowd parts in front, and there's this little guy like Danny DeVito. He comes up, and he pushes me out of the way, and he stands in front of John. His arms drop to his side, and he says, "You're John. You're John." And John was always uncomfortable in those moments. He said, "Yes, I'm John." And the guy hugs him and said, "I love your father. I love your father." John said, "Thanks." The guy said, free drinks for John. I had to pay for mine. But so he leaves. And 20 minutes later, he's coming back again. He's dragging a woman behind him. And he says to her, "Marilyn, I want you to meet my friend John Kennedy." And John reaches his hand out and he says, "Marilyn, I've heard so much about you. I'm glad I finally got to meet you."
He made him a hero. He made him a hero.
Yeah. We go out to the car and I said, "John, what just happened? You met that guy 20 minutes ago." And he said, "Yeah, I know, but it's obvious." John had these instincts. He said the guy was obviously telling his wife. They lived in the apartment above the bar. He told her that he was friends with my family. So what harm? I remember what he said. He said, "What harm did I do? I made two people really happy tonight."
That's awesome.
I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's great. How heavy did his family's legacy weigh on him?
Well, a lot. He talked about that fairly often. It was a blessing. He would not have traded it in for anything. There are lots of benefits to being John F. Kennedy Jr. But yes, it also it created expectations, and that he had to deal with his whole life. And I think my view of John is that he spent his whole life really trying to discover who he was, separate from all those expectations and all the burdens that were placed upon him. And he wanted to be, his genuine self. One other story he told me that gives you an idea of the type of family pressure. So in 1968, his uncle Robert's running for Senate, and he would come by, running for New York, and he would come by when he could to John and Carolyn and tuck them in at night. And this is right after Christmas, 68. And John got an easy bake oven that year. And Robert comes in, and John's on the floor baking cakes, and Robert sits down next to him, and he says to John, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And John said, "I want to be a baker." And Robert reached over and gently held him by his shoulders and says, "You can't do that. You've been given great gifts. You have a responsibility to serve and help other people." John's 8 years old at this point. So it gives you an idea how that's ingrained in that family ethos, that at such an early age he's being told that he has essentially a burden.
Yes. Wow.
Your book is called America's Reluctant Prince. The new CNN documentary, which I caught over the weekend, is called America's Prince. I think the third and final episode will air this weekend. Did they call you? Is this documentary based much off your book?
No, I did a documentary back in with A&E. Did a documentary back in 2019 that's based on my book. They came up with a similar title, but they came up with it independently, and it's not based on my book. I'm one of the many people who they spoke to as part of the documentary, and I think they did a really a great job. They really sort of captured John and have a variety of voices of people who knew John in their various capacities. And I think altogether it creates a really touching portrait of him.
He was very close with his mother. Was he close with his sister, Carolyn? Was he close with his cousins? Many, many cousins, too many to name.
Yeah.
But RFK Jr., who is in Washington now, was he close to Robert Kennedy Jr.?
You know, there was a lot of tension between the RFK's children and I mean, Jackie did not like John spending time with RFK's children, RFK's Jr. Children, because she thought they were too wild, and so one of the reasons why they left Washington and went to New York was really to build some distance. And over time, he developed a close relationship with some of his cousins. He and his sister had, you know, a bond that was unbreakable. There was a lot of tension near the end. Over a series after his mom died about what to do with the house, what to do with Hyannisport. And there was a lot of tension between John and Carolyn's husband, Ed. So they were going through a difficult time in those final years, but they loved each other, and there's no doubt they would have worked their way through it.
You know, might be hyperbolic and maudlin at the same time. But when he passed away, I thought this came to my head, and we were talking about this. This could have been a time, the end of Camelot, and because I think a lot of folks who kind of followed, like me, the Kennedy legacy, going back to their grandfather. I mean, through the 20s, 30s, 40s, all the way up. In your view, was it kind of the end of that thought of Camelot for the Kennedys?
Yes, I think to an extent that's true. I think John was the namesake. John was the son and namesake of the only Kennedy who became president. Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of that burden fell on him to fulfill his father's destiny. You know, John would make comments to friends once in a while. He says, "I really want to go back home," and by home he meant the White House.
Oh, wow!
So I think John had developed ambitions over time to be in politics, and you know, the part of the challenge that John would have faced, I think his greatest asset as a politician would have been his greatest liability, which is his name, because people would expect John to be like his father, and he didn't. You know, John never really lived in Boston. He was born there, but he moved immediately to Washington, then to New York. He didn't have that crisp Irish accent that people. I've ran into this a lot of times when I'd introduce John to people, and they would say, "I thought he would sound different."
Yeah.
You know, he sounds like a guy who grew up on the Upper East Side of New York, and so I think that would have been a challenge for him, is to sort of manage those expectations and emerge from his father's shadow as his own man. And I think that would have been a really difficult thing for him to do.
Steve, I mean, obviously he's on the cover of so many magazines, so many things have been written about him, but what do you think would surprise most of us about your friend JFK Jr.?
Oh, how funny he was. He had a great sense of humor, and he loved making fun of me and lots of other things. He was just the other thing about John is another friend said that John was disgustingly normal. And I think that's the other dimension. Like, John told me that he was really two people. That he was just John Kennedy, you know, a typical, though privileged member of his generation. But he played a role his whole life. And the role that he played was John Fitzgerald Kennedy Jr. People wonder why he went into acting. He had been acting his whole life. And I think what people would be surprised by, given all the fame that he has and all the the family name and all the sexiest man alive, was just how down to earth he was.
Yeah.
And how he had no pretense to him. He never expected to be treated differently because of who he was. He would usually put you at ease with some kind of a joke or say something funny or very witty. And I think that's what people would find surprising, is he was just a good guy, and not someone who, and I think that was John's greatest achievement. When we think of the Kennedys, as you mentioned, we think of politics and the presidents and senators. John's greatest achievement was personal. And that is, he was able to deal with all these expectations, all the pressure that was placed upon him, and turn out to be a really healthy, normal man.
Was he a bit of a playboy?
John had his friends played different roles in his life, and my role was the professor and his racquetball buddy. So I didn't go out and I didn't socialize with John in that way. We didn't talk about our personal lives that much. When we got together, we talked about history, we talked about politics, talked about his father's legacy, talked about current issues and stuff. So I never, that whole side of John, I never really got to know. I realized how John described me to his friends after he died. And there was that week before the memorial service, there were gatherings at various apartments in New York. And this is before the internet and almost before cell phones. And you would get a message on an answering machine that say, you're meeting at this apartment at 6 o'clock. And I remember the first time I got the call, I was kind of afraid to go because every time I was with John, it was just the two of us. And his other friends won't even know who I am. And so I remember I went and I walked around the block a few times before I worked up the courage to go. And I went in, I knocked on the door, and I said, "Hi, I'm Steve Gillon." And the friend said, "Oh, the professor." And he made this motion with his wrist like playing racquetball. And I was like, okay, that's how John described me to his friend. But because I was locked in that role, John and I rarely had conversations about his personal life.
Yeah. Well, Steve, this has been such a pleasure. Steve Gillon, author of America's Reluctant Prince, The Life of JFK Jr. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this afternoon.
My pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
All right, so you're looking for a new front door, maybe to change the style up a little bit. Maybe you've got some windows that are leaking and aren't very energy efficient, and you'd like to get some new ones. And so you start looking for a window company. Let me tell you about my friend and my neighbor, Larry Thornton from the Window Store. He's been selling windows and doors in St. Louis for 37 years. He has access to all the quality windows and all the quality doors. And unlike so many other window companies, it's not a marketing game. Buy one, get the next 7 free. At the Window Store, you buy one window, you get one window. But when you compare apples to apples, right, you'll notice that the Window Store has much better pricing. There is no hard sell. They're not going to stand in the middle of your living room demanding you sign on the dotted line. For 37 years, they've beat everybody on quality, on price, on customer service. If you need windows or doors, that's why you need to call my neighbor, Larry, or his son, Joe, 314-739-0002 or WSWindow.net.
Scott, remember when the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Pile were flying around the arch selling flooring?
Andrea, that was the Queen of Carpet and the Princess of Tile.
Oh, that's right. But we don't need shtick here at Best Buy Flooring.
That's right, because our in-stock selection of carpet, carpet tile, sheet vinyl, laminate, hardwood, luxury vinyl plank, and luxury vinyl tile are already at low, low prices.
Come see us at our 3 area locations, North County, South County, and Metro East. Open 7 days a week.
Plus, free financing on approved credit. Best flooring, best selection, Best Buy. Best Buy Flooring.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, it's Heidi, and I've only sold 2 houses, but I know how stressful it can be. I also know the team at Lauren Risley Realty makes the entire process as easy as possible. I watched Lauren work with friends and my parents, and I can say she is top-notch. She doesn't just know the market. She knows what to look for in a home, and that includes red flags. And through all of it, she is calm, cool, and kind. So if you're in the market to buy or sell a home, or if you just have a question, call Lauren Risley Realty, 314-775-0684, or go to LaurenRisleyRealty.com.
You know, over the years, Lordo's has become part of the family for many, many St. Louis families. For 80 years, they've been helping St. Louis families with all of the jewelry needs, whether it's the diamond ring, a diamond ring, maybe something for St. Patrick's Day, something for an anniversary, Valentine's Day. Throughout the years and throughout the calendar, it's Lordo's as your go-to. Whether it's men or women, you want to repurpose something or buy something new, Lordo's Diamonds in the heart of Ladue on Clayton Road. You see, it's a family business. The family's been running it for years, and they learned it from their father, who learned it from their father. And so that family jeweler, it's where generations of St. Louisans go. Grandparents have gone there. Your grandkids will go there. Right there in Ladue on Clayton Road, across the street from a Norman Rockwell-esque firehouse, is Lordo's Diamonds. Go in, make a friend, and make them your family jeweler, because you can thank me later. 314-432-8008 or online, lordosdiamonds.com.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Inland Marine Boats in Barnhart has been serving your boating needs for 38 years. Hi, I'm Ryan at Inland Marine, your Mercury Marine dealer. Remember, you only get 18 summers with your kids. Make the most of them with a boat. InlandMarineBoats.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Meep, meep. 5:36, Captain Paul, how are the roads looking? Mark your calendars. 8 days before you can ride the new attractions at St. Louis Union Station. It is going to be fantastic. There's a pirate ship, there's a wave swing, and a roller coaster, all adding to the fun already to be had at St. Louis Wheel Park. So on Thursday, August 28th, you'll be able to step aboard the Flying Louie, which is a swashbuckling pirate-themed ride that swings 42.5 feet into the air. You can also board the Locomotion, a train-themed roller coaster in the Wheel Park. And don't forget the Wave Swinger, which is a classic swing ride modeled after the 1904 St. Louis World's Fair. That all just joins all the other fun you can have at St. Louis Union Station. And oh, by the way, they're going to have a couple of carnival games as well. They're called the Midway Games. So grab the family and head to Union Station for even more fun starting Thursday, August 28th. For information and tickets, go to stlouisunionstation.com.
And now, KTRS weather from the John Beal Roofing Weather Desk.
I'm First Alert 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We have some nice weather, warm still, but slightly below normal days are ahead of us. We start off Thursday morning at 67 degrees, a high of 84 with partly cloudy skies and dry weather for the afternoon, slightly less humid for Thursday too. And then Friday, partly cloudy and a high of 86. That's the latest from the First Alert 4 Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton for the Big 550 KTRS.
John Beal Roofing is the home of the lowest price roofing guarantee. Get a free estimate today at johnbealroofing.com.
All right, time is running out. You've got about 5 more minutes to get that bid in for the ultimate sports ticket package. All you have to do is text us on the Woods Basement Systems text line 84126, tickets and your name. Right now, the largest bid, $1,200.
Zero is your hero at HW Kia. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, or 0% for 48 months. Even 0 tariff pricing on every clearly marked new HW Kia in stock. Currently stuck in your loan or lease? Big D, the trade man, wants to get you released. Up to 120% over fair market value for your trade. Every clearly marked new HW Kia. 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, or 0% for 48 months. Even gas and all-wheel drive Sportage and Sorrento SUVs. Have a job clearing $450 a week? You're practically approved. So bring your trade and lease a new Seltos S, Nero LX, or Soul. Just $99 a month. $49.95 due. And you guessed it, 0 security deposit. But when they're gone, they're gone. You heard right. Choose your new Kia and drive for $99 a month. That's less than the cost of a daily cup of coffee. Only at HWKia.com. On approved credit, not all qualify. Plus tax, title, license, 587, title, and registration processing fee. Negative equity, refinance, new loan. Rebates and incentives to dealer. 24-month, 10,000-mile lease. $49.95 due. Offers not a combination. Expires September 6th, 2025.
For all of your travel needs, you go to the best travel agency in the world. Granted, I'm a little biased. Altair Travel and Cruises. They'll take you wherever you want to go in style. They'll handle all the details. You handle all the fun. Don't go to the Googles. Don't make that mistake. It all starts at Altair Travel and Cruises on Brentwood Boulevard, 314-968-9600. Anywhere you want to go, let Altair Travel take you. AltairTravel.com.
Your biggest choice in home restoration is who do you trust with your home, your most valued asset? Few can match Banner Construction's experience and dedication to excellence. Banner is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor and Pella Windows specialist. Restoration is a one-time opportunity to have Banner's design team show you architectural options to make your home the neighborhood showcase. Call for a free consultation, 314-569-1050. And have a banner day.
You can pretty much find a job anywhere, but finding a lifelong career can be much more difficult. You like working with your hands? Working in different environments? Having options for different kinds of work within your career? Then the Construction Craft Laborers Union of Missouri may be for you. Don't just settle for a job. Build a career. Build a future. Build a legacy. Go to buildunion.com for more information. That's buildunion.com.
Do you have the option to control your cash flow and wealth? Are you getting a return on your greatest asset, your lifetime and potential generational income? Overcome these critical financial planning challenges by discovering the Control Option Mindset featuring the Lifetime and Generational Income Maximizer. Call Mark Benson and his team at the Control Option at 314-432-9540 or online at thecontroloptionmindset.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
Let's talk a little entertainment news. If you've seen The Bear and wondered if it's a comedy or drama, which we've discussed many times
It's
here.
a drama.
Yeah, you're not alone. On one hand, it is definitely a drama, but on the other hand, it's won multiple awards in the comedy categories. It's been nominated again for Best Comedy Series at the 2025 Emmys. Well, Ayo Edebiri, how do you say her last name?
Ayo Edebiri.
Yes, thank you. She has thoughts on the whole debate. She plays Chef Sydney on the show. She said, my feeling is that this is a question that is honestly above my pay grade. It's a question for the studios. We get asked a lot about it. And actors, they don't ask the producers. So that's kind of where my answer is.
Here's my question.
Okay.
It's a 30-minute TV show.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's on FX. They could
40 minutes
40
here.
40 minutes here, there.
25 there.
Has there ever been a 30-minute drama? Are they saying it's a comedy just because it's only 30 minutes long?
Because it's short?
Because it's short, right?
Other than soaps, I don't think so.
Yeah. I don't think so either. It's an interesting
call.
one. Tom Cruise says he almost broke his back doing a stunt for the latest Mission Impossible. He and the director, Christopher McQuarrie, watched the iconic plane fight scene between Ethan and Gabriel, the names of the characters. And while watching, Tom said, "Oh, this almost broke my back." It's where Ethan, his character, is hanging from the wing of a 1930s biplane. And of course, if you don't know, Tom does all of his own stunts. He explained that hanging from the plane was punishing. Now, the 8th and supposed final Mission Impossible movie was released in May, made nearly $600 million at the worldwide box office. So maybe it was worth it. I don't know if he has to go to therapy or not, but hey.
His commitment, though, to making films, and he sort of led the way through COVID.
Yeah.
Still making films. And as some people may think he's nutty, and I can see that, but his dedication to his work is, I think, unparalleled.
I think you're right. And it's not just acting. It's movies in general. It's the industry, which I do think is pretty cool. Pierce Bronson isn't against returning as 007, but there might have to be some modern special effects, makeup, costumes involved. He played James Bond ahead of Daniel Craig's 2006 entry into the franchise. And he said if director Denis Villeneuve has something up his sleeve for the upcoming 26th Bond film, he said, I would look at it in a heartbeat. Why not? It's great entertainment. Adding of his own senior citizen potential, he said a craggy 72-year-old Bond, it could be lots of laughs, bald caps, prosthetics, who knows. But all seriousness, he said he and his wife have been following all of the talk about who's the next Bond, and he said there's a lot of great candidates up for the job.
He's in a small fraternity.
Yes.
72. Roger Moore said he stopped being Bond when he realized the Bond girls could be his granddaughters.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that makes sense. How about a couple birthdays?
Yeah. What do we got here? Okay, we'll go quick. Singer, actor, been through a lot, although she's still young. Hint, Demi Lovato.
Demi Lovato.
Wow. 34.
31.
Josh gets this one, 33. We talked about her earlier, Amy Adams.
Oh.
Boy. Yes.
Amy Adams, 48.
47.
51.
Oh.
Doesn't she look fabulous?
Yes.
Let me give you one more. Let's go with then somebody we watch every day, Al Roker.
Oh,
How old is Uncle Al?
Uncle Al.
I bet Uncle Al's 70.
66.
Heidi gets it. 71.
Whoa.
And those are the birthdays.
All right, and that is your evening entertainment report here on the Big 550 KTRS. Let me tell you something real quickly. My baby, my godchild, who was at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital for 9 weeks of her early life when she came out of the womb, went to kindergarten today.
Yay.
How about that?
So crazy. She is so happy. She is so busy. She is something else. And I, fearless, by the way. And I kind of tip my cap to SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital. I don't know what they did in those 9 weeks, but they made her as strong as ever. And I think if you talk to a lot of parents of kids who spent time at Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital, they'll tell you the same thing. I don't know if it's the love that the nurses and the doctors and the janitors and the therapists wrap around them that they feel, or if it's just the incredible care that they get there. But Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital does something very, very special. And it's not just for the patients. It is for the families, whether it's siblings or parents or grandparents. So if you want to learn more about this fantastic hospital, you can do it at glennon.org.
It's Miller Furniture's Labor Day clearance event going on now through September 9th.
I'm Mark Miller, owner of Miller Furniture and Mattress, your home for quality American-made furniture since 1927. Right now, you'll save up to 75% off our list price on all in-stock furniture and up to 50% off select custom orders at our Belleville, Fairview Heights, Lake St. Louis, and Ellisville showrooms.
Plus, shop our Stickley galleries in Fairview Heights and Belleville and take 40% off MSRP on all in-stock and custom order Stickley furniture. We have new and fresh looks on display like Flex steel leather reclining sofas with power headrests and lumbar support, or our unique heirloom quality Amish-made furniture.
Are you ready to sleep better and save big? Right now, save up to $800 on select adjustable mattress sets from Tempur-Pedic and Stearns & Foster. Or get half-price Chatham & Wells mattresses with the purchase of an adjustable base.
Don't miss our Labor Day clearance event going on now through September 9th. And check out Miller Furniture on Facebook for additional sales offers and new showroom arrivals.
At Miller Furniture, we put the family in furniture.
When you pay for tree work, you want to be sure you're getting the most for your hard-earned money. That's why you should always use the ISA certified arborist at River City Tree Service in Baldwin, Missouri. Hi, I'm Steve with River City Tree Service, and we've been the go-to tree service since 2008. Tree removal, tree trimming, storm damage, deadwood removal, stump grinding, and more. Give River City Tree Service a call for all your tree service needs at 314-270-8071. That's 314-270-8071. River City Tree Service.
Hi, I'm Mike Robinson with Robank Properties, and I want your fixer-upper home. It's crazy to spend a ton of money fixing it up when I will pay you top dollar right now. I don't even care what condition it's in. Your trash is my treasure. No inspections, no contingencies, just cold, hard cash. Call me, Mike Robinson, at 314-283-0867. That's Mike Robinson, 314-283-0867, or at robangproperties.com.
When you want to send flowers to a loved one for a birthday, anniversary, or that special occasion, call your friends at Walter Knoll Florist. Walter Knoll is family-owned and operated and offers custom designs by expert designers. A huge inventory and selection that only the largest florist can offer, with quality and care that no grocery store florist can meet. They have several locations in the St. Louis metro area to serve you. Order online today at WKF.com. That's WKF.com. Walter Knoll Florist, your personal florist since 1883.
Everybody loves good barbecue, and everybody wants to know where the next great barbecue place is. And if you're looking for an overnight sensation, it's only taken them 10 years. Three Bay Barbecue and Bakery, Woods Mill and Clayton Road. There is a gas station, West County Phillips 66 gas station. In that gas station, in the back, for 10 years, some of the best barbecue in town. Bring a friend and spread the word. Three Bay Barbecue and Bakery. Don't forget about the bakery. 3baybarbecueandbakery.com. Appliance Discounters has another showroom, this time on Gravois Road, right next to the little Dairy Queen that's been there for ages. This showroom is different. It's packed with name brands, GE, LG, Bosch, that are slightly dinged, one-of-a-kind, or closeout items direct from the manufacturer. They all come with the factory warranties and all the factory rebates. You want huge savings at big discounts, theappliancediscounters.com. To find the one nearest you, including the one on Gravois Road in Afton, theappliancediscounters.com.
Hey, it's Julie Buck for our friends at Triad Bank. They are a full-service financial institution, and they've been in St. Louis for over 20 years with two locations, one at Clayton and Lindbergh, and the other one just west of 270 on Olive. If you've got your own business and you want to have a better banking experience, look no further than Triad Bank. Their mission is to provide a wide range of commercial and personal banking services to you and your business. For more, go to triadbanking.com.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
8 minutes before 6 o'clock, let's get one final check of traffic with Captain Paul. Going once, going twice. Sold to Gene Lake, that fantastic ultimate sports ticket package. You are going to have so much fun. And don't forget, tomorrow, starting at 6 a.m., the 15th annual Radiothon kicks off, and there's going to be all kinds of great auction items up for grabs.
Hey, it's John Carney. A lot of conversations with the folks over at Allen Roofing, pretty much asking advice, because I know a lot of people got smacked by that storm, and he had some great advice for people to think about. First off, be careful of who you talk to when you're going to get some work done. Make sure there's an agreement, and the scope of work is laid out in that contract. Also, as you can imagine, a lot of contractors are busy. Give them some time, and you know what? Allen Roofing will come put a tarp on your roof at no charge, even if you don't use them when you get the roof repaired. Also, check the Better Business Bureau, see what the reviews are for contractors that you deal with, and also remember, insurance companies allow up to an entire year from the date of loss to file a claim. So you've got time to get those repairs done and that replacement done. Don't rush it. Just a few tips from the people that know roofing and repairs better than anyone. It's Allen Roofing, online at aroofing.net.
The 37th Midwest Salute to the Arts invites you to a 3-day outdoor arts festival at Moody Park in Fairview Heights, Illinois, August 22nd through the 24th. Visitors can immerse themselves in a celebration of art, enjoy local food vendors, and a kids' creation station. Also, join us for Uncommon Collaboration, an exploration of contemporary sculpture exhibit, in partnership with Art Village Fairview. For more information, visit MidwestSalute.com. Brought to you in part by the Illinois Office of Tourism and Discover Downstate Illinois.
It's time to celebrate summer the Southern Illinois way at the DeCoin State Fair from August 22nd through Labor Day. Enjoy thrilling rides, toe-tapping concerts, sizzling fair food, and good old-fashioned fun for the whole family. Catch professional wrestling, blue ribbon bake-offs, and meet your favorite farm animals. Whether you're here for the car show or corn dogs, DeCoin's got the magic. So pack up the family. Adventure awaits at the DeCoin State Fair.
Stop feeling embarrassed about thinning hair and start looking and feeling your best with Hair Grow by New Nordic. Available online at Amazon, Walmart.com, and NewNordicUSA.com, or at your local CVS.
You're listening to the Heidi Glaus Show with Josh Gilbert and Bob Ramsey on the Big 550 KTRS.
All right, let's wrap this Wednesday up with a couple randoms.
All right, so the Wright brothers, famously for pioneering flying together. However, Wilbur did most of the technical work, and Orville was more of the hype man, if you will.
You mean one flew and one didn't? When you're saying technical, I'm thinking more of like fixing the plane.
Yes, and Orville was the one that was
out in public,
pushing his brother to continue on, trying to help solve the problems in the background. Wilbur was the technical one.
I wonder if that was their same roles in the bicycle shop.
Great
good
question.
Yeah.
Maybe one guy was the marketer.
Maybe Orville was good at bikes, though.
Yeah.
And a study of 20 million married couples found no astrological signs are more likely to marry any other astrological signs. I mean, we all knew that it was kind of bogus anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't think we all knew. I think a lot of people put a lot of...
They still do.
Yeah, they still do. All right, you guys, that does it for us. We will meet you back here starting at 3 o'clock tomorrow. And until then, see if you can put a smile on somebody's face.
Whatever gets you through the
Some of my fondest memories as a kid is heading down to the hardware store. You had to pick up a couple of nails, a couple of screws, maybe a gallon of paint, whatever it may be, right? It was your friendly neighborhood hardware store. Well, those don't exist anymore in St. Louis, except for Schnarr's Hardware. They have two locations in Webster Groves and in Clayton Road in Ladue. Schnarr's Hardware is that place where you go in and you can get that bucket of paint, you can get a couple of screws. The advice is always free. And the one thing about Schnarr's Hardware that every single family hardware store used to have, and that is the smell. It smells like a hardware store. It's got the selection. I don't know how they do it. It's a small store, but they got everything you ever need. They got the paint. They got paint matching. They've got big green eggs. They've got screws and nails and everything a hardware store should have. Schnarr's Hardware, 2 locations, 1 great hardware store. Schnarr's Hardware, we'll see you there.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well,
I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today. See representative for warranty details. Promotion is 20% off plus a 10% senior or military discount. One discount per household.
4 green seats and parking for the August 25th Cardinals game against Pittsburgh. Want to throw the first pitch at the Cards game September 16th against the Cincinnati Reds? Do we have your attention now? How about a trip behind the scenes with Frank Cusimano at KSDK News Channel 5? Brunch with Heidi Glaus, Jennifer Blome, and Kelly Jackson. Billikens tickets, dinner with Carney. Not sure who would really want that, but we're going to do it anyway. 1 year's worth of Dogtown Pizza and so much more. Tomorrow is the 15th annual St. Louis Men's Group Against Cancer Radiothon. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., KTRS Cares has great auction items to bid on. Tune in all day tomorrow to find out how to bid on these great auction items. Just listen for the keyword to text in your bid to 84126. Mizzou football.
The rushing touchdown, and Missouri extends the lead.
KTRS AM, FM 1061, K291.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. A Republican effort to redraw Texas's congressional maps cleared its first hurdle this afternoon, passing the Texas House. The measure could give the GOP 5 more seats in the U.S. House. Democrats have been trying to block the vote. ABC News political director Avery Harper.
The math has never been in Democrats' favor on these maps. That's why we saw them flee the state, because it was one of the only tools they had in their arsenal to try and derail this vote. But now that they're back and there's a quorum, we do expect for Republicans to be able to pass these maps because they hold solid majorities in both the Texas House and Senate.
Parents of some of the children who died in the Texas July 4th floods demanding answers and change. Cece Williams Stewart's daughter, Celie, was 8 years old.
Protocols that should have been in place were ignored. As a result, my daughter was stolen from us.
Coastal areas along the eastern seaboard bracing for Hurricane Erin. In Buxton, North Carolina, Jacob Throne striking an optimistic tone with a caveat.
I don't really pretend to be a weatherman and know what's going to go on. It doesn't seem that bad. Maybe some flooding on the roads and stuff like that. But as I said, I ain't no weatherman.
As diplomats talk peace, the war drags on between Ukraine and Russia.
According to colleagues in Kyiv, Ukraine is under Russian drone attack. We'll typically get the results of that attack in the coming hours. But last night, Ukraine says Russia launched 93 drones and 2 ballistic missiles into Ukraine. We know an energy facility in the southern city of Odessa appears to be one of the targets.
ABC's Tom Sophie Burridge. A Navy pilot safely ejected off the coast of Norfolk, Virginia today before his FA-18E fighter jet crashed into the Atlantic. He's been recovered by the Coast Guard. Multiple U.S. officials telling ABC News a senior ISIS leader was targeted and killed during U.S. military ground raid in Syria last night. You're listening to ABC News.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Called sleep inertia, and it could be the reason why you feel groggy, sluggish, and moody when you wake up. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton explains.
It really is contributed, or it most likely often happens secondary to things like sleep loss, the time of day you wake up, if you wake up early in the morning or late at night, and if you're woken up out of deep sleep, which is why when you're startled in the middle of the night, it can often be really scary because that sleep inertia is very active.
Doctors recommend between 7 and 9 hours of sleep for adults or more for teens and kids. Pope Leo has a special request.
Pope Leo is asking people to take time out this coming Friday to fast and pray for peace in the Middle East and Ukraine. The Pope has called for ceasefires before, but he's never issued a personal appeal. The request coming as the Pope returned to the Vatican from summer vacation. At the end of Wednesday's audience, he was also given a ping pong table as a gift. Leo picked up a paddle and bounced a ball on it, but it rolled into the net. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Google unveiled its new Pixel smartphone lineup that includes more artificial intelligence. 2 new features include Magic Q, which Google describes as a digital mind reader, and Camera Coach that'll suggest framing and lighting tips. The Italian Soccer Coaches Association is calling for Israel to be suspended from international competition due to the war in Gaza. The association sent a letter to the Italian Federation requesting it be forwarded to FIFA. I'm Dave Packer, ABC News.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed